This way. This way. Oh, your phone. I couldn't find it. I still can't find it. Yeah. Welcome, everybody. We're going to start the Dave's Gone By show in just a moment. As Abe Lefkowitz finishes his magic. Abe Lefkowitz! Are you ready? Are you guys ready? I'm ready. It's time for Dave's Gone By.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. There goes the neighborhood. And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
Not yet.
You guys had a Lefkowitz that's here. He's a Long Island arts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's Gone By. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
That'd be me. Oh yeah, spastic dancing is just the best kind. La, la, la.
Tropical hot dog night. Like two flamingos in a fruit fight. Every cover of day. Whirling around at night.
I'm gonna go just a minute. Is it here? Oh, that's old. That's 100 years ago. That's not the story.
So a young girl from town to be some monster tonight. Tropical hot dog night. Like two flamingos in a fruit fight.
Do. Yeah.
I don't want to know about wrong or right.
This potato is not showing very well.
I don't want to know.
Much better.
Anywhere tonight.
Okay, here we go now.
Tropical hot dog night.
Well, there goes the neighborhood. Good morning, everybody, and happy rainy Saturday morning to you, to all my Facebook friends and listeners, to Potatoes, to my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. Say hello, Joyce. Hello. On this Saturday, May 12th, 2018, yeah, it's going, for the 650th episode of Dave's Gone By. How many, what were there, 612 commandments? We've beaten the commandments by about 40. Yeah. So,
David, you kicked Moses' tushy.
I do indeed. Moses and Aaron
Moses,
together.
your little stick figure Moses.
Oh, I haven't. No, this is not Moses. This is Jesus.
It doesn't look like Jesus.
It does. Okay, you
That's
tell me on
what it
Facebook.
looks like. That's the chicken.
Joyce bought these little finger puppets.
I believe made by Peruvians.
Made by Peruvian people, apparently, at some conference that you were at. She brought them because she thought they'd be cute for the show, and it's great. And they are. Look. Here's a sheepy. Sheepy's very cute. See, and then we've got the potato with a narwhal horn is old, but the octopus on top of the narwhal horn.
No, he's the gopher.
Oh,
Walrus.
Walrus. I'm sorry. The octopus is over here. We've got the octopus. Yeah. I realize I'm a 54-year-old man talking about this. Okay. So we've got the the walrus. Very cute. Okay. But among them, she thought this was a shepherd, like a farmer guy. And he looks like this. Okay. I'm sorry.
He looks like more like a wise man.
No, this is Jesus. Well, yeah. He looks like one of the wise men.
Look like Jesus.
He's bringing myrrh. Whatever the hell that is. Or myrrh.
What does he have in his hand?
What the? Yeah, he's carrying, I don't know, a Bible or I'm showing it to her off the camera.
He's a wise man.
Yeah. Well, see.
You're covering his face.
I'm covering his. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, wise man, Moses, Jesus person, shepherd. But anyway, I'm saying it looks like Jesus to me.
I should have got the cow. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
should have gotten the moo cow. And in case we have a chicken alert, we do have a chicken.
Why is he in the bag? Is he having too
He's
many?
resting. He's sleeping. Okay. All right. So anyway, how did we get there? How did we begin with this?
I don't know.
Well, welcome everybody to 650,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Yes.
I can't wait till we get to like 666. We'll have to do like a backwards show with masked messages. Yeah.
We'll have to get Ozzy Osbourne to bite the head off a potato.
We can bite the head off this chicken.
Off a potato.
Well, that'd be cool. Don't listen to her potato. By the way, yes.
New one?
Did you meet him?
No.
He came in the mail yesterday. We got a new potato. Say hi, potato. Hi,
He
potato.
is well groomed. I like that.
And he's stocky. He's got nice heft. He's not that mushy. Try him.
I don't want to touch him.
You don't want to touch him?
No.
You don't want to touch our new potato?
No.
Okay. Anywho, Dave's gone by. How do I explain what the hell we do here? It's eclectic talk, radio, comedy, culture, interviews, and stuff. And by the way, welcome to my great friend Lisa from our writers group who wrote me a message there. She's like, her. Maybe that's her way of saying hello. I mean,
What'd
that's
she
probably the
say?
way. HRLRR.
Hello. That's hello.
Hello.
She's got it. Lisa, you
Okay.
got it going on, girlfriend. You keep on doing what you do.
Welcome to Melanie. Welcome to Fred of Friendy. So,
Whoa,
yay.
I call Fred Mr. Chicken Alert.
He did.
Yeah.
So if we have a chicken alert, he also
He's
gave us
also in
music.
real life. He alerts us to free chickens in the neighborhood. That's important.
Oh, who are the chickens in your neighborhood? I want to see that Mr.
Well,
Rogers
didn't
movie.
it say he sent something where it said the chicken was loose, but the woman would give it to somebody who wouldn't cook it and eat it?
Yeah.
Like, how would she know? Would she follow them home for like days and like, you know?
Well, if somebody knocks on your door
Yeah.
and says, "I've lost my chicken," and that person is holding a fork, a knife, and
Some
like a
barbecue
roasting pan,
sauce.
yeah, you kind of know.
If the chicken goes, "Whoa," then you know it's like,
But you know we're not in New York anymore because literally there was a message on our like local bulletin board that there's a lost chicken roaming around, and please, they found the chicken. And they want to give it back to its owner or someone who will raise it right, send it to the right schools.
give it a good education.
Yeah, but not someone who's going to just
Cook
pluck
it.
it, cook it, and eat it.
Like if Wing Shack comes over and says, "Hey,
Yeah,
we need a mascot,
yeah, we've been waiting for him.
Mr.
Oh,
McCluckins."
walked right out of a photo shoot. We'll just take it through the kitchen back way so people don't see us going through the front.
Somebody get the cleaver.
Speaking of Cleaver, welcome Fred, and welcome to Adam.
Fred tuned in for another installment of A Cow for Hansel.
He did. I asked last week if people wanted to hear more A Cow für Hansel.
Maybe we should let Fred pick the next book.
Okay. Fred, if you have a children's-ish book in mind that won't, because we do about 3 pages here a week.
You'll be doing that for
So
a year.
if I did Dostoevsky,
God, Crime and Punishment, War and Peace, you'd be in
Yeah.
forever.
Anna Karenina, chapter 38,
God.
and I'm like 74 years old at
That's
that
right.
point. By the way, also welcome to Melanie and Fred and Adam and Hedy from Chicago. So great to have her listening.
Chicago is my kind of town.
And I'll tell you, Hedy, we're going to be doing a theater special, our annual Tony special, on June 9th. So you're really going to want to tune in for that. Welcome also to Larry and Richard. Of course, Richard. Well, we have a lot of Richards, but he's been a friend of the neighborhood, so I can mention the last name. Richard Skipper, who used to play Carol Channing. He also does other
Skipper.
cabaret stuff. And Marie, our friend Marie, with whom we went to France.
Oh, Marie.
Oh, Marie,
Oh,
oh, Marie, in my arms you are.
Marie's very awesome.
Yeah, and then Art Paul sent us a link to a video of him singing.
Art Paul, who we call the book replacer.
Yeah, the guy who recycled a signed book that he won. Like, he won the call. No, it wasn't a call. It was an email in of jokes for Jackie the Joke Man Martling's joke book. And I warn people that Jackie's jokes are not the things you're going to find.
They're not
In Sunday school.
rated, no.
Yeah, and he liked one joke, read like probably 6 of the others, and like, oh, this is not for me. Couldn't give it away, and gave it to the garbage men. So I apologize to well, folks. We'll have other giveaways. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
we already have 2 great giveaways lined up for our Tony show. We have souvenir booklets
Oh, Hamilton
from Harry
tickets?
Potter.
Hamilton
I don't have
tickets?
Hamilton tickets. If I had Hamilton, do you think I'd be giving them away? I would sell them and fly to Bermuda.
No.
God, no.
Yeah.
But I do have a Harry Potter book.
Oh, that's awesome.
The booklet that goes with the show.
Because there's a two-parter.
Yeah. Well, I think no, it's not a Mean Girls thing. We have a
You have the Mean Girls pencils.
right. Yeah.
If
I'll give
somebody-
those away today if you
If
want.
somebody likes Mean Girls, it's nice.
Well, no, but you use pencils. I figure I'll give you the
Not
pencils.
that pink though.
Okay. Well, it's Mean Girls pink. There's plastics. That's the point. I forget what the other giveaway is, but it's really cool. So you're going to want to tune in June 9th, Saturday, for our regular show, but it's going to be all about
Is
Broadway.
it giving away a potato?
I would never give away a potato. Ever.
Okay.
No. You have to mash me first before you mash one of them.
Mm.
Now, what's going to be on this episode of the Dave's Down By radio program of the stream, I hear you ask?
Yeah.
I hear you
What's
ask.
gonna be on the radio
Yeah.
name of the stream? Blah, 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 blah.
Very excited. We have a legend, really, actually, on today's
John Legend?
program. No, we don't have John Legend.
Oh.
We actually have music that I like. No, I'm kidding. We have a jazz musician, somebody who is so.
Shuby Taylor?
If only. I mean, Shuby Taylor's been dead for about 10, 15 years now. And WFMU has the sole interview with this man.
Whoa.
They tracked, you know the story with
Yeah,
the Shuby
yeah.
Taylor. They tracked him down to a senior facility in New Jersey after looking for like 36 William Taylors. They were just cold calling people. It's like, are you William Taylor? And finally they got the guy, hello? And it was Shuby.
Oh my God.
They tracked him down. They brought him to the studio, and they still have this in the archive. And he talked about his whole life. But it is not Shuby Taylor, although it is a person who has been in both the jazz and the pop world. Now, people might not know his name because his name is such a common sounding name, Richard Davis. Fine, go in the phone book. There's 1,500 Richard Davises, but this particular Richard Davis has played with the likes of Eric Dolphy, Miles Davis, Sarah Vaughan.
Did Miles Davis cold cock him?
I don't know if they did any drugs together. I don't know if we'll ask that or not. Certainly, Miles had his.
Jazz musicians have a lot of stories because they've been through a lot.
I will bet you
Yeah.
dollars to donuts to heroin that that Richard Davis has stories about all these incredible jazz and rock musicians.
Wasn't
that
there
he's-
not Billie Holiday? What was the other woman that he had a?
No, he didn't have a thing
Vaughan,
with Sarah
Sarah
Vaughan.
No.
But they tried. I think he has a story about Sarah Vaughan that
Oh
he'll
my
tell that will
God.
surprise you. He has a Miles Davis story to tell. He may have a Frank Sinatra story. I'm not sure.
Wow.
And the other thing is the reason I'm not a huge jazz fan. I kind of stopped.
But you have jazz hands too.
What-
Jazz hands. There you go.
I do them well on
See,
Facebook.
look.
I can't do the Fosse thing because Fosse's very like small gestures made big, but it's like jazz hands.
There you go. See.
What was I going to say though?
Who else did he talk to her about?
Oh well, the point is
Is he?
why I got into him.
Yeah.
And why he's important to me is I really don't like saxophone stuff. I'm not into Eric Dolphy, never into Coltrane or Parker either. It's not where I go.
I do like saxophones.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't listen to that music in the 60s, 70s, etc. Still isn't my thing. But you will hear Richard Davis on some rock albums. One of them, or actually two of them, are by Bruce Springsteen. He played on
Who's that?
a Jewish sounding guy,
Was he
Springsteen.
born in the USA?
He may have come even from Nebraska.
Wow. Was it Tramps Like Us? Baby, he was born to run.
Yeah, he was wild. He was innocent. Did the E Street Shuffle. Yeah, and then he had a rising of sorts.
Aw.
Yeah.
I think I've heard of him.
Well, for a while he had some darkness on the edge of town, but then he crossed the river. And
I
he's a lot
think he
better.
did it. I think he was depressed. I think he did have darkness, Bruce Springsteen.
Probably, well, he's talking about it now on
Yeah.
Broadway. He's doing a solo.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and he had issues with his dad and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he played on the first Bruce Springsteen album, Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey,
Whoa.
and the one you mentioned. He's on a track or two of Born to Run,
Just like the big
which is considered one of the top rock
classic
albums ever. So beyond that,
Mhm.
the reason why Richard Davis is a legend.
Is he up for a Tony?
No.
I'm thinking about your Tony show.
As a matter of fact, the honor that Richard Davis is getting or just got, they've named, I swear to you, a street in Madison, Wisconsin after him
Is that where he's
in
from?
April. He taught at the University of Wisconsin in Madison for about 30 years.
Whoa.
So he's a professor
he taught
emeritus.
jazz?
So yeah, taught He plays the double bass. So he taught music, jazz, and bass, I guess, yeah. And a beloved professor there. He retired only 2 years ago. And the man is in his late 80s. So he's a real treasured, beloved Wisconsinian.
That's so nice. That's very nostalgic. I like that. I wish him well. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, and they just honestly named the street after him in Wisconsin.
And if you gave him a couple million, they named a building after him.
Well, yeah. It's Richard Davis Street between Webb Avenue and Darbo Drive in Madison. If anybody listening is from Madison or actually Art Paul.
Yeah, we have some faculty here from Wisconsin. Yeah, they might know
cool.
it.
So, and by the way, welcome to Jeffrey and welcome to Robert from my old high school. Yay, hello.
Roberto.
So we're going to have Richard Davis and but I didn't say
What?
the other album that he played on is for me in the top 3, maybe 5 albums
What is that?
popular music ever recorded. Van Morrison's Astral Weeks.
Oh, you talk about that. Yeah, you're a music aficionado, David. You know all this stuff.
And what's one of the things that is special about that album is it's guided, of all things, by the bass playing. You hear the bass is carrying the songs. Richard Davis essentially arranged.
Did he write the songs?
No, the songs are by Van Morrison.
Because I was going to say, you'd think a bassist would write them.
No.
If the instrument's going to be featured, wouldn't the
well, the arrangements.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, but in fact, Morrison worked over these songs when he was still at Bang Records, and he had kind of folky arrangements and then kind of pop and mariachi arrangements until finally he got Richard Davis to get these jazz guys in the studio and put them together and create a sound.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And then no other Van Morrison album is like it. He followed it up with Moondance, which was already a more pop kind of jazz. It was a very different place.
Wow.
There's no other album that sounds like this record.
Will you tell stories about them or no?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope, because Van Morrison is not known as the nicest human being in the world.
Artists are very temperamental because they want things to be right. They don't want things to be just okay. They're perfectionists.
Yeah. And as well, they should be. And Van Morrison, I think, after a while, saw that Richard Davis was so good that he let Richard Davis go. And there's...
Yeah, but that always happens. Every band has, like Menudo, when they turn 14, they go through puberty, they're out, then they become Ricky Martin. It's like every band, every lead singer, every band has somebody who didn't join or got away or left the band. That's part of the band vocal.
I am proud to say that I was in Menudo until I was 23.
No, you like to eat Menudo soup. You don't like to...
No, I had special tape where I pushed my testicles up into my body.
You had facial hair like what, probably 13. You would have.
You
would have been out. Yeah.
I was so proud of like the little hairs on my lip and my chin.
Yeah.
Even though they were these little scraggles, that I just kind of kept them there.
You should have put like a barrette. That would have had a class, a little barrette, like a little clip.
Oh, you mean on a beret on here? Oh, yeah.
That says classy.
What were we thinking about with hats the other day?
What were we thinking?
We're talking about berets and about
hats?
Well, you had still the mortarboard.
Oh, you were wearing it. No, your friend said you should wear a hat on the show for respectability and for to make the show more classy.
Oh.
I think you like to wear a hat to be classy.
Well, he liked the mortarboard. I was wearing a mortarboard on the last show.
You have a nice fedora too. Yeah. You have a little hat here, but
let me have my little hat.
Okay.
Because potatoes have hats. I should be wearing a hat. And by the way, welcome to John. Hello, John. Good to see you pretty much every week here in the neighborhood. That's better. Now, that takes the shine off the top of my head. What, babe? Do I look more bold?
Put some bare minerals on that. It's going to make shreds on your nice shirt, David.
It's kind of a steal from the Uncle Floyd character, Chuck Little hat, I think.
Yeah, no. Put it on New Potato. Let him have 2 hats.
Well, or maybe Walrus wants a hat.
No, it's going to crush his walrus head. Put it on New Potato.
There we go. Oh, yeehaw.
Yeah, he has to have 2 hats.
Isn't that lovely? So, Richard Davis on the program today. And then we'll be talking about all the musicians he's worked with, rock and jazz.
I wonder if he's also taught anyone who's like come to fame,
I'll betcha. Problem is, there really aren't a lot of name a jazz musician from the past 20 years. There are probably dozens, but it's like classical music. If you're not really into it, they haven't crossed into the culture. Like, we remember, like, Wynton and Branford Marsalis.
Yeah.
But then in the 70s, they got famous.
Yeah.
Herbie Hancock. Who now? And I know I'm going to get angry emails and tweets from people like, "Oh, how can you not know so and so?" And of course, this person has been playing the cello, but name somebody.
I think in the jazz school we have people
Yeah,
who are really beautiful jazz players.
true. But name them,
'Cause
or
we
get
don't-
somebody outside UNC to name
We
them.
don't know. We're not. You're the music buff.
No, but if a pop or rock musician comes up through the ranks, you haven't heard of them a week ago, and suddenly they're all over the place. Just yesterday, we were watching the Graham Norton show, and what was this woman, not Sia, but Rusi, or something like that.
I think
She's the
so,
Eurovision
Sheree
Song
or
Contest.
something, yeah.
Yeah, one of these one-name people.
Mhm.
Very nice voice. And then she was doing the song that they're going to do on the Eurovision
Oh,
Song
yeah.
Contest for England, even though she's Belgian. Weird.
No, she's English.
Oh, she's English.
She sang for the Belgian background group, and they call it something with the flag running or something when you sing for another
Oh, flagging. Because
flagging. Yeah, so
false flagging.
yeah, that's what she was
Yeah.
doing. She was singing for the in the chorus for the Belgian group, and they said it was false flagging.
Yeah. So you're allowed, if you're from another country, to sing
Back
for a
on
different
track.
country. No, I think even they said even for a different country, but it's false flagging if you do that.
Yeah.
So, but I never heard of. I mean, there's this woman, pretty famous, I guess, in England, Australia, Europe, Belgium,
Maybe the UK.
and now I know of her, even though I've forgotten her name.
It's like Sorrel,
Yeah, Suri,
Yeah.
something like that. Soraya. Psoriasis.
Surrey.
Sorry, I forgot her name. That's comedy right there. Also on today's radio program of The Stream, we'll have Inside Broadway. I'll talk about a couple of other shows that I saw when I was in New York 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I saw a bunch. So I'll be reviewing and also giving you the Broadway scoop as we ramp towards the Tony Awards only 3 weeks from now. What else? We'll have a new Colorado Limerick of the Dam. Today's Limerick is about the town of Antonito. So you're
Is that
going
in
to
Colorado?
stay tuned for that. Yeah. You'd be amazed how many towns and cities there are in Colorado.
Antonito?
Antonito.
That's not a misspelling?
No. Well, I mean, I would check Wiki if I were writing a research paper,
Yeah.
but I'm trusting Wiki that is a real, actual place. So there will be a limerick about it on Dave's Gone By later. And as promised, a cow for Hansel, part 9. We're going to see how he does on that farm. Little Hansel is staying away from his parents and helping another farmer out. What else do we have? We have a Saturday segue of songs in the news, and we're bringing back Dave's Big Dictionary. Yes, we haven't done this in a couple of weeks, but what happened before the show was Joyce, kindly, my darling and adorable wife Joyce, thumbed blankly randomly through
Tell them I use multiple colors.
the dictionary.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah, she used
5.
well, it makes sense for the words that she chose. The point is that she randomly thumbed through the dictionary to find a word, and then it's my job later in the show to do about 5-10 minutes extemporaneously and tell some kind of story, some kind of thought, something that the word calls up in me, and make a little.
Don't you have to make like
Radio.
a sentence of it?
Oh, I'm not doing a sentence, like not a vocabulary lesson.
There's also, I made an adjective in the noun forms. You have choices.
And the word of the day, which Joyce chose before we went on the air, is hue. No, not you.
Can I
Not
can
you.
I give one for the adjective?
Yeah, well, it's HUE. Go ahead.
So hued. Sometimes when I do the laundry, David's underpants are hued.
That's very. Thank you for sharing that. Thank
Yay.
you. Yeah, they're. I don't know if there's since we're talking
Isn't
about
it like
flags.
Joseph in the raincoat? Yeah.
Is there a white, yellow, and brown flag? I can just put my underwear on a stick. You okay? Just pulled herself back and hit the
The
couch.
chairs are on wheels.
Yeah.
Wow, that hurt me.
So the word I will have to deal with is hue, gradation of color, or an attribute of colors that permits them to be classified as either red, yellow, green, blue, or something intermediate. So there you go. So it'll have to do with color. It'll have to do with the word hue. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
because we used to have some really good ones, and then I got some nippy ones recently. So this will be good. Hugh on Dave's Big Dick. Cherry. Thank you very much. Is there anything else we need to discuss before we get to Greeley Crimes and Old Times?
I think we're good. Is there anything we missed? You're more on track of it. I'm tired. We got up early. Tell him about the yard sale. We got a table.
Oh, yeah.
Where's the table, in the car?
Yes.
That's a nice table.
UNC is kind of cool today here at the university. What they do, I don't know if it's cool. It's so desperate. They take our gym, and classes ended 2 weeks ago, and finals ended a week ago. So the semester's over, and most of the kids are gone. Well, they move out. They leave their dorms, especially if they graduate. They're not coming back.
What is Exodus? Movement of young people. They're like, either they get out, or I think they have to get out, or they have, unless you live there in summer, you got to pack up and go.
Movement of D- failures.
Either that, or you move off campus to a party house.
Yeah. So sometimes they leave stuff. They leave a ton of clothing behind. Also sundries, kitchen things. Some left little fridges. So if you need a small personal refrigerator, I guess I don't want to take them with them on planes or back home. They brought them here, so they go fly. And they UNC sells them and raises money. You say it's for a particular department?
I think it's for scholarships for the classified staff.
Oh, what is classified staff?
Like the administrative staff, not the big administrative, but regular administrative people.
Oh, okay.
I think it's to do scholarships. They sometimes give book money and stuff. I think it's a charitable cause. Okay,
great.
Yeah.
And prices are pretty, I wish they were a little cheaper. I was going to buy some paperback books, but I don't want to pay $1 a piece because I'm Jewish that way.
Well, most places they're like $2 for $1, $3 for $1.
Yeah, exactly. I thought, come on. It always bothered me when I see the textbook that I was teaching last semester in the pile of books that kids are selling, or just left. They didn't even bother to bring it to resell or take with them.
Some of it could be that they left it in someone else's room and it wasn't theirs, and like that happens. Because I lived in a dorm. Sometimes I'd be like, one time I lent someone my microwave. They were having a party in their dorm room, and it's like you forget. And I was like, where's my stuff? Or who did I get my bowl to? Or things get all over. Like, where's my book, or who has what? Even now, sometimes I lend my books to students. I forget. Someone will email me, can I drop off the books you lent me? I'm like, yay!
Yes, please. Yeah.
I found them.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, and the thing is, there weren't really a lot of books on sale. They had a ton of clothing.
And they have a lot of time, David. They don't have a lot of time between finals and move out, so they gotta, get quick.
Well, there's waste paper baskets if anybody needs those. Yeah. A lot of them. What else did they have?
Bath mats.
Like a few plush toys because girls. That's what they have in their dorms. But no potatoes, alas. Mm-hmm. Blankets, pillows. Just throw out I'm sorry. I don't care how cheap it is. I'm not going to buy somebody else's old pillow.
Pillows.
Oh, yeah. Because, you can get...
like for the dog or something, like for...
I know. But you can go to Target and get a $3.50 pillow.
I guess you can probably go to Ross or TJ Maxx too.
Yeah. So anyway, but if you want to come, it's at the gym in Gunter Hall at UNC, and I think it's till the middle of the afternoon.
I think it's noon.
Till about noon.
Does it say? I'll look it up on the UNC today. They had it, I know.
Oh, cool.
But not in the last week, right?
So that was our morning. We got up early enough that we just zoomed over and saw if they had anything cool. And we got a table, and I bought one book, like Collected Writings of C.S. Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not that Jewish. I can read C.S. Lewis and not be converted.
Lewis, The Raw, the Cooked, I love that. C.S. Lewis, anthropologist, no?
Well, he's more of a religionist. He wrote the Screw Tape Letters and the...
But the Raw, the Cooked, and the something is like sacred and profane, maybe.
I thought the Raw and the Cooked was Julia Child. Hey, I need some sound there. Thank you very much. I also have the Ooga horn if you want to use that. Is that there? We need some morning Ooga horn. Well, while you do that, I'm going to get us ready for our next segment, which is called Greeley Crimes and Old Times. If you've watched the show, if you know the show, this is something that we do every week based on 2 articles weekly in the Greeley Tribune, our local newspaper. One of them collates the oddest... Ooh, wow, that was a hell of a burp. The wildest, weirdest, oddest phone calls that come into our police dispatch. Not the ones that are really terrible, like somebody running around with a gun got shot. These are more like, why are they calling the cops? But they're logged and it's public record. So the Trib collates all of these and puts out a weekly column of the funniest, goofiest
Annual
ones.
yard sale.
What about the yard sale?
I'm going to read it. I couldn't find it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Annual yard sale, UNC. It says, find great deals on a variety of items at the annual UNC yard sale today, 8 a.m. till noon, in Gunter Gymnasium. Proceeds benefit the Classified Staff Council's professional development activities. Items for the sale include new and used women's clothing, men's clothing suit, children's clothing, coats, accessories, lamps, small appliances, office supplies, bedding, dishes, books, backpacks, modern electronics, and much more.
I like the much more there.
Much more.
But
Yeah.
although I tried, they will not let you smell the co-ed's panties.
There's no panties.
You were looking closely enough.
That's disgusting.
Yes.
They don't have underpants.
No, who knows if they have
You can't
pillows?
sell underpants.
Says who?
It's disgusting.
I've seen them at the Ark. I've seen Ming's. I've seen
You're
them.
not supposed to buy on people's underpants. It's nasty.
What can I tell you? Well, boxers.
Mm-mm.
You know, I'm the only person I know who wears boxers over underpants because I had such a puritanical upbringing. You know, not really, but you know, that's me. Most people don't. Most men, you know, they got the barn door and the rooster pops out. You know,
Yeah.
I do not do that. Not that I have a long enough rooster for it to pop anywhere, but still, how do we get on this? I don't know. Anywho, we're talking about Greeley crimes and old times. Now, the Greeley old times part has to do with items that were in our local newspaper 100 years ago, literally 1918. They go back and they find weird, odd, or nostalgic pieces that were printed in the local newspaper, and that's kind of cool too. So are you ready, my dear,
Yep.
for this installment of Greeley Crimes and Old Times? Yeah. Flag-a-dee-doo, flag-a-da-dee. Greeley Crimes and Old Times it is here on this Saturday, May 12th, 2018, the 650th edition of the Dave's Gone By radio program of the stream. Welcome to you all. So, we've got some old, some new, and do we have an elsewhere? We do have an elsewhere too.
Wow.
Okay, so it's going to be an exciting thing. Oh, I got to change my ribbon at home, my ink ribbon. Things are getting a little bit kind of grayish.
That's the sign. You could shake it, but it's not going to work that much.
That's what she's talking about on our wedding night. But you know, with my horn, what do I do? Okay.
That was so subtle. Oh my God, David. Remember?
Oh, actually, I gotta stop laughing because I'm gonna open with something actually sad. The Greeley Tribune, they lost the guy who was the editor there when we first moved here.
Yeah.
Randy Bangert, if you know, Randy Bangert has been suffering with cancer for about a year or so, and he died this past week. So we'll bid a farewell to him.
Sad,
Yeah, I know. If we had Mike Peters on from,
He was so much fun.
Mike Peters was
What a
great.
nice man.
And if you go on Mike Peters' page, you can see just what cancer did to this man. It was amazing. I mean, he was a good-looking guy, not Marble Man type, but sort of like almost like a Stephen Stilsy 1970s shaggy kind of guy.
Yeah.
And now, if you see him over the past few weeks, he looked like E.T. And he weighed about 85 pounds and just a spectral, like the eyes sunk into his head. It's quite horrifying. So, folks, don't get cancer.
No.
Yeah. But anyway, farewell to Randy Bangert. I have my issues in that he never really gave me a job. Could have, et cetera and so
Move
forth.
on to
I'm not
the
going to say
Greeley
bad things about the dead.
Move
I'm
on
just
to the
saying
Greeley
he
Crimes
let
and
me. He gave me a byline. He let me review a show, and he also twice the Greeley Trib covered my
it was
stuff
really nice.
when I was doing my plays, and also they covered us when we were at Potato Day. So I'm not a stranger to the Greeley Tribune. It just would have been nice if he'd, hired me. Would have been nice, Randy. So, but rest in peace.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess I should say. All right, now on to Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Police received a call from 9th Avenue The caller reported a man angrily grabbing and shaking a street sign.
Well, I've been there.
I'll reenact with Potato. I can't get him twisted the right way.
Yeah, but maybe that street sign did him wrong. How do we know?
It could be. Well, apparently he wouldn't stop or yield. So that.
Oh my God.
And he was frustrated because for that entire week, his wife had gone to bed wearing the sign "Do not enter." Thank you very much. Police received a call from 82nd Avenue and 20th Street. We were up there. That's
Wow, yeah.
like where the Vega is, actually. The caller reported someone sitting in a car in an empty lot who would, from time to time, dance violently. I don't know if he got out of the car.
What do you mean dance violently?
Potato's going to demonstrate
Okay.
also this. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha.
Maybe,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
do you
know.
mean in the car or do you mean out of the car?
No, I don't know. It doesn't say.
That's
Well, the
pretty
person's
easy.
sitting in the car boogieing to like music,
That's nice.
or
Yeah.
getting out of the car and violently dancing around
What
the
is
car.
violent dancing?
I don't know. I have a feeling I know who this is because let's face it, Kay Norton is really happy to be leaving. I kid.
That's funny.
Thank you ever so
That
much.
is funny. She's like, woohoo! 1 more month, 2 more months. Yeah.
Get noise ready.
What?
You ready?
Yeah.
Potato alert! Potato alert! Potato alert! Ladies and gentlemen, we have a potato story for you. Oh, by the way, welcome to Elizabeth and Karen and Chauncey. Hello.
Hey,
Hey, Chauncey.
Chauncey, how you doing?
A Greeley potato buyer has been arrested in Texas for mail theft. He had stolen several letters from Greeley and Evans mailboxes. Among the items stolen was a $79 check, which the potato buyer forged and cashed. So, in terms of potatoes, all eyes are on him now.
They don't like the stealing.
Oh, he'll get creamed in prison if you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
Or he'll get baked.
Unless he appeals.
Or gets fried. Could
That's
get
true.
fried.
Oh, they could fry him. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, what's wrong with us? Jack's
We're all,
Place.
David, we're all gratin.
Oh, that's worth an ooga horn. There we go.
Please, that's so screechy.
Jack's Place.
What?
Jack's Place
Yeah.
is the new Greeley auto filling and service station.
Woo!
It's at 10th Street and 8th Avenue.
Everything I told you, 8th is the nexus, right?
That's well, 8th and 8th is the
Yeah,
but 10th and
sure
8th is
that's
close.
Getting close. Yeah.
They will have a complete line of auto, gasoline, and oils. The first, I love this. The first 250 auto dealers who fill up at the station will receive a free cup of grease.
Yay! Who says you can't get anything free anymore?
I mean, it's good for the car. I know they use it, they pour it.
Yeah.
But can you imagine just walking in to a place and it's like, oh, thank you, sir. And instead of getting glasses that you used to get from the gas stations or a toaster from the bank,
I think
it's
you're,
like, man, I have my
you're
cup of-
misunderstanding to get a cup of grease for the car.
Yeah, well, still.
You know, like you pour it in the car. Like
I
it's like a
know,
cup of oil.
But
It's not
the
like
way
you
they
can-
put it, if you fill up your car here, we will give you a free cup of
They should
grease.
have like an oil change or something. Yeah.
I would love to do that for when I have in the fall when I have students coming in for advice. I don't advise them, but in my office hours, and they or in the writing center if they stay a half hour, they get help with their essays and they leave with a free cup of grease. Here's your free grease.
Like, yay!
It will stop people running through the halls. I'll tell you that
No, it would
much.
increase running because people would be slippery.
Oh, that's right.
That'd be bad.
Oh, yeah. They should name a musical after that idea. I don't know, something about people getting a free cup of something.
It's the word. It's the word. It's
Cats.
the word. Yes.
There we go. All right. Anyway, we're doing Greeley Crimes in Old Times here on Dave's Gone By. Police received a call from 35th Avenue. The caller reported someone sending, quote, weird headless photos
Ah,
to her boyfriend's phone.
yeah, but why wouldn't the boyfriend call?
I don't know. Well, boyfriend probably knows who the photos are from.
Yeah, I have a feeling that.
Girlfriend probably picked up the boyfriend's phone when he was in the shower and saw headless photos. Oddly enough, they were also breastless and vaginaless. So yeah, don't know what was going on there. Police also received a call from First Street. This could have been me. The caller reporting a man, quote, looking mean.
How can you? That's like the CSU people who reported the native kids for being native.
Oh,
they're too
looking
quiet.
Indian.
They're
Yeah.
too quiet. Really?
This was a story.
Yeah.
We talked about this last week, but at CSU, a couple of Native Americans, young Native Americans, were late for a tour group that they were going to do of the campus because they were thinking of going to college at CSU in Fort Collins. And some parent of a white kid saw these two, I guess they're darker than whitish people,
Yeah.
saw them kind of backing up shadily, quietly as part of this group, and alerted a cop to say, who are these suspicious characters who are non-whitish and suddenly part of this group? And the cops detained them. The cops went over to these guys and started not hassling them, didn't dump them on the ground and assault them, as cops have been known to do, but kind of took them out of the group and then put them aside and questioned them for basically being non-white. And CSU is apologizing, and the CSU should offer them a full ride.
I don't think they're gonna go.
Well, would you go if you had a full ride?
No.
Oh, really? You would be so put off by the experience?
Oh, I would protest the heck out of that puppy. I'd be like, no way. And if I was native at that school, I would pitch a fit. Any indigenous group, I'd be like, whoa. Yeah. You know me, I'm a old radical, but a radical. It's like you can't do that.
But as we said,
you can't get away with that with an apology.
This is UNC's chance to swoop in and get them.
Yeah.
And we have the Ben Nighthorse Center right here. So come Indian people. Here, I'll do some smoke signals for you.
God. Don't be racist.
I'm sensitive. I am sensitive to these issues.
Don't be racist, David. I can't.
I'll give a blanket
David,
without
look
smallpox.
Look at me.
What? Yes.
Go on.
Okay.
Mr. Racism.
Police received a call from 13th Avenue and 7th Street. The caller paid his mother to keep his things in storage, but she sold his stuff instead. Thanks,
Happy
Mom.
Mother's Day.
Yeah, right?
Happy Mother's Day.
Well, I didn't think you were using that gold coin.
Wow.
You didn't need that horse.
It was probably on that Storage Wars.
Could have
He
been.
probably got cued in when he saw people buying his stuff on Storage Wars.
Now Groucho Marx would love this.
What?
The two clans in East Greeley, in old 100-year ago East Greeley, there was the Kessler clan
Yes.
and the Schnurrer clan.
Wow.
They were the Schnurrers. That's actually a name of a group.
Yeah.
Did someone call them Schnurrers? The Schnurrer and Kessler clans of East Greeley, both Germans from Russia families, are at it again. They are throwing cans, old shoes, and brickbats at each other across their yards. Yeah. They have been ordered to appear in Greeley Police Court. Yeah. Did Kessler call him Schnurrer? Hooray, hooray, hooray.
That's crazy.
Yeah. There's a Captain Beefheart song called Brickbats. What is a brickbat?
I'll look it up. A brickbat?
Yeah, I've heard the name. Is it a bat shaped like a brick? Is it a brick shaped like a bat? Does it fly like a bat and sleep at night? What is a brickbat? Well, Joyce is looking it up on her telephone.
What is a brickbat?
Brickbat, a piece of brick typically when used as a weapon.
It's just a brick
Oh, it's
used
a
as a
part
weapon.
of a brick.
It's just
Wow.
it's just a brick used as a weapon.
I did not know that. I've known the word for, yes, I see, for 50 years. That's so cool. Huh. Well, you learn something new every day on the Dave's Gone By radio program. As a matter of fact, you learn something new every day.
Here's
I bet that.
a superhero holding a brick. He says, "Don't throw that. That's a brickbat."
That's a brick bat. Oh, using a brick as a bat. Wow, that is so cool. Anyway, we're doing Greeley Crimes and Old Times on the Dave's Gone By radio program of the stream here in Greeley, Colorado. I haven't really mentioned that we're in the UNC studio while we're still here. You can check out more about this radio show at davesgoneby.com. davesgoneby.com. You can email me, davesgoneby@aol.com. Or, of course, you can find out more about the show, watch the program here on Facebook. Radio Dave Lefkowitz is the way to do that. Radio Dave Lefkowitz. And by all means, contact me here, message me here. There are times during the show when people send messages, and that's fabulous, but I can't actually still see them or read them, but I can read them later and then sometimes respond to them. So don't be mad or disappointed if you're texting me or you're giving me a message here on Facebook and I don't mention it, because either I'm busy doing something else or I'm just, I can't see it, because at a certain point my crawl stops of messages. But by all means, do contact me either here or at davesgoneby@aol.com. And don't forget to follow the Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2. It's Radio Dave, the number 2. We have so much more on this episode of of the show. We've got Richard Davis, legendary jazz musician. He'll be talking to me a little later in the program. Inside Broadway we'll go for news of the Rialto. We have StoryTime with Hansel and the Cow. We've got Dave's Big Dictionary, and the word is hue. We've got a Limerick to do for you and a Saturday segue of music. I mean, is it going to be a great show or what? I think it's pretty cool already. And we couldn't do this program without the kind sponsorship of Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway in Hewlett, Long Island. They're right in the heart of the town. As a matter of fact, they're only 2.5 blocks from the LIRR station. They're across the street from the big new Petco there. The main thing is, if you need copies done, everything from a single-sided black and white page, which looks white on this screen right here, there you go, or color copies, spiral bound, perfect bound, laminated, if you need your design on a mug or on pen and pencil sets or on clothing, Hewlett Minuteman Press can do that.
For Hansel memorabilia. Like
you could design buttons for a cow for Hansel.
Would they make
T-shirts. Of course they'll make it. If you give them the design, they can do anything, maybe not a cake, but they can put a cow for Hansel laminate or insignia
That'd be nice.
on a hat, on a shirt, on pants, on underpants, clean or dirty.
Wow.
They'll do it.
I don't think dirty.
Thongs would be difficult, to be really small to be on
I
a
don't
thong.
think they would. I don't think they do that kind of clothing. I think they do like T-shirts and aprons.
If they can
and
do a
stuff.
T-shirt, they can do an underpants, right?
I don't know. They have to have special equipment.
Yeah, they could do pretty much anything. They could do, if you are into fetishism and you have a rubber mask that you wear during sex with a felch tube. Yeah, they could put a cow for Hansel imagery along the felch tube. What is wrong with me?
Do you think if anyone calls and asks for that, they're going to do it?
They would, if they pay enough, they would find a way. But most of the time, they can do the normal stuff. Also,
Well, they usually do wedding invitations,
Yes.
party things, business cards,
right. Holiday cards. It's a little early for Rosh Hashanah and all of that, but not too soon to start
If,
thinking
let's
of
say
it.
for Mother's Day, if you're really pressed, I don't think are they open today?
They're open for another hour. No, they can't do a Mother's Day card for tomorrow. That they cannot do. But they could do Father's Day.
Mm-hmm.
If you know a Veterans Day.
I'm sure all the graduation stuff.
Well, yeah, there's still high schools and things like that graduating over the next 3-4 weeks. They could put a rush on it and get her done. So go to Hewlett Minuteman Press on Broadway in Hewlett, Long Island, 516-569-5577, 516-569-5577. And if you tell them Dave sent you, you get 10% off any job, big or small. 516-569-5577. Hewlett Minuteman, the Torong family, they are the copy kings. Are we ready to do a bit more of Greeley crimes and old times?
Yes, we are.
I doubt there's any felching involved.
Thank you, God.
As you said on our wedding night, here comes a long one. Reverend, a certain point, usually it takes about 3 hours into the show when I get the sillies.
Because we got up at like 5:02 in the a.m.
Reverend H.A. Schmidt of the German Evangelical German Church.
Are they German?
Yeah, the very German church. It's double the Germans there.
Double German. We'd say Deutsche.
Oh, this is actually not my mistake. This was how it was printed in the either in the Tribune as a mistake when they did it last week, or this is how it was 100 years ago, misprinted. But
Yeah.
it was the German Evangelical German Church,
Yeah. Well,
which reminds me of my favorite song title of all time from from Spinal Tap. Tonight I'm Gonna Rock You Tonight. This is the greatest title ever, right? So H.A. Schmidt volunteered to sleep in jail overnight
what?
for his own protection.
Why?
German, 1918, hello. Although he was born in Germany and gives sermons in German, he has spoken frequently in support of the Americans in the war. Remember, it's World War I going on.
Yeah, I know.
However, some local people think he's a spy.
Because he put German twice in the name of his
Nice.
church.
This is the Sig Heil Church. Last night, someone painted his house yellow. And, oddly enough, when he arrived at the jail, he had already painted his own underpants yellow. Yellow paint has become a symbol of anger in Colorado lately.
Yellow?
Yellow. Yeah, I guess. Houses of Germans living in Denver and Boulder have been painted yellow. In Denver, a man who supported Germany in the war was attacked on the street and painted yellow. Actually, angry Coloradans did the same thing to Japanese people in World War II, but nobody noticed. Oh, that racist comedy. I do it so well. Oh, I want to give a shout out to our Native American listeners.
It's not funny.
It is kind of funny.
It's not
It's funny because it's wrong.
It's not even funny.
All right, okay. That was funny. Okay. Here we go. Let's do another crime, shall we? We shall.
David, it's almost 10 o'clock.
It's almost 10. We know. We go till 10,
Okay.
and then we
Just telling you.
break them off something. The police received a call from First Avenue.
Uh-oh.
The caller reported a neighbor scrawled "F-U" on her car because of how she was parked.
Whoa.
Right? Maybe the "F-U" stood for Forester Unneighborly.
Or my alma mater, Fordham University.
It could.
We had a lot of
could.
bags that said FU, which everyone thought was funny.
Yeah, come on. Who wouldn't want to buy a T-shirt?
I know.
That's
it said
instant.
FU. It is FU, Fordham University.
Did they actually do that in the Fordham
Yes.
store?
They
It's
had like a
FU?
knapsack and it said FU, and I thought it was hysterical.
Oh, that's yes. They probably still get that on eBay or
I'm
from their
sure.
store.
Good times.
Because what was I thinking of? I was thinking of
The Jesuits?
no, it was something about probably UNC. Like if we were to do something at UNC and have the acronym for it, almost every acronym would be negative. So we have juniors at UNC, be junk. If you had philosophy department at UNC, punk.
Oh, I like that.
Well, yeah, you drinking and revelations that is drunk. There's no good.
Yeah, but you could put it in like function.
History would be hunk. That's all right.
Yeah, or like function, like
Funk.
French at UNC.
We got the funk.
Yeah.
All right. But most lunk,
Unk, you'd be English.
well, unk is
You'd be
we have
drunk,
unk.
Drunk.
Yeah. I mean, UNC in North Carolina has the same issue.
Yeah, but we say UNCO.
Yeah. Oh, so great. So yeah, business at UNCO is bunco,
There you go.
which kind of makes sense, doesn't
There
it?
you go.
Yeah. Police received a call
Whoops.
from 2nd Street and 35th Avenue. The caller was worried her fiance's parents would evict her
What?
because they thought she was a liar.
Ooh.
Police later learned there was no crime. The situation was nothing more than, quote, a roommate disagreement about hiding TV remotes.
Well, I can understand that.
Yeah.
We've had many a fight over that.
Remember when we had to, we were staying at this
bed and
rather
breakfast,
expensive
Yeah.
bed and breakfast on the east end of Long Island. It was a
Yeah.
nice little vacation,
Yeah.
and I don't know why, but by the end of it, we couldn't find the remote control for the TV, and they wanted to charge us for it, like we had taken their stupid bloody remote. Like they weren't charging us $300 a night. They should throw in the remote and batteries and like a celebrity who was appearing on the TV that we watched. But I hope they found it. Where could it have gone?
I think I blame the cat.
Maybe. Yeah. Anyway, what else? Police received a call from
I'm looking for your Father's Day gift. It's a remote.
Oh, that'd be
It's a
cool.
remote that's 3 pounds from the 1980s.
But I do panic a little bit. It's terrible. Like I realize this about me, about my life. Like I like things the way they are. I like novelty. I love new restaurants, try new foods and things like that. But when it comes to my day-to-day life and getting my stuff done, getting my work done, having what I want to eat, watching what I want to on TV, my little proscribed,
You've been doing the same ritual since I met you.
procrastinating life,
Yeah.
anything that upsets this, and so I don't go into a panic, but I'm immediately like, I need to fix this and get this back in my life order. So
Yeah.
like if I'm pressing the button on the remote on the TV and the remote's no longer working, it's like, batteries, where? Now, in. Oh, thank God, working. My life is back in order again. If I can't find the remote, you complain if I leave the remote on the couch instead of putting it in
doesn't
the,
belong there.
well, but you can see it on the couch.
I
It's
was
right
raised
there.
by the Germans who believe you put everything back where it belongs.
But I'm saying that did occur to me. I'm very much like that. Like a little thing, it needs to be corrected. If I finish up some food, and I want to make sure, I better get to the supermarket and make sure I've got another can on the shelf, or I get this back in the fridge. Oh, a bag of meat. I don't have a steak.
I think that's OCD.
You think? How's that OCD? Well, is it a compulsion?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
That's compulsive.
Wow. But I don't have to touch things 5 times or skip over cracks in the sidewalk.
Well, one sign would be that you collect items.
Me? What items do I collect? I don't collect anything. Yeah. Remember how upset I get if I think we've lost a potato, or when I was going to kill one of our dogs when he mangled one of my potatoes. I was going to get a hammer and crush his skull, and then I thought better of it.
It was Ufty, right?
It was Uft, yeah, because Uft had the teeth, and he grabbed one of my beloved toy potatoes and tore one of the eyes off it and mangled the nose, and you fixed it.
Yeah,
You sewed him back up.
Franken-tater.
Yeah, that's true. We call him Franken-tater now. But I was truly livid because I was like, no, my potato, I collect these. These are my friends.
And then you left one at the cafeteria.
Oh, I know.
Negligent parent.
And was I upset or was I not upset?
You were upset.
Because it upset the natural order of my
your
life,
compulsion.
of the collecting of potatoes.
Yeah.
I guess I feel that now when I come in here to do my
Yes.
show. And I want everything to be working.
Yeah.
I want the internet to be working. I want the board to be okay. I want the machine to be recording. I want Facebook to be up. And one thing goes wrong, I'm like,
That's true.
my show, I can't start it at 9 o'clock and do what I want to do. And I think I'm more like that now
Really?
than I was in my 20s or 30s.
I don't know.
I wonder about that.
Yeah, we can get some help for that.
Again, I guess I am crazy, folks.
Dude, I gotta get going soon, baby. It's 9:58.
Let's do one more.
Yeah,
Let's
pick a
do
good-
our
pick a good
elsewhere.
one.
Let's do our elsewhere to cap off Dave's Gone By's Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Are you ready, folks? Or are you ready, Howard,
Yes.
for our last one? Now, this is not that far afield.
Mhm.
This is Dateline, Aspen, Colorado.
Ooh.
And we will have an Aspen Limerick, but not today. Well, in our
No, it's not.
Colorado
it's
Limericks
not
of
the tail
Dan.
the month.
That's coming soon. But in Aspen, Colorado, a 25-year-old man has been sentenced to 2 years probation for setting fire to a garage.
Mm.
The fire was in retaliation to his roommates for drawing phallic symbols on his face while he was asleep.
We saw that on the ridiculousness.
Yes.
remember?
Yeah, well,
That's
this guy,
a common prank.
yeah, not so common for this guy. He got mad.
Of
He
course.
set the garage on fire. Well,
I'd be mad too if I woke up and people drew anything on my face.
Me too.
How do you get that off your
indelible
face?
ink, right? You wear it no matter what for a couple of days.
How long would it take to get that off?
You really have to scrub, and
You
even
know
then,
what he was, David?
he was Hugh
Yeah, he was huge.
in. Oh, that's right. There was this
Yes.
colored marker. Yeah.
Mhm.
So the Aspen Times reported on Monday that Stephen Elmore pleaded. Apparently, pled is not the correct word. Pleaded guilty
Mhm.
to 4th-degree arson in exchange for a plea that wipes his criminal record if he stays out of trouble. Court documents say that in January, Elmore's roommates drew on his face with a felt-tipped pen while he was asleep. When he discovered the drawings, he confronted the roommate before going downstairs and eventually starting a fire in the garage. The roommates ended up putting out the fire, and nobody was
Oh, okay, good.
injured or damaged. But moral, please get. I'll get. This is actually an Uka Horn one. Moral of story: if you cover a guy's face with dicks, he's gonna go nuts. And ladies and gentlemen, that, my friends, is Greeley Crimes and All Times
I'm gonna hug you, but
for
I'm
today.
hiding. I gotta go fight the people for stuff.
Da 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 do, flitty yogi dee.
You like a potato audience.
Oh, we got our potatoes here on Dave's Gone By. It is, by the way, 10 o'clock in the morning of May, or as we like to say, morning, May 12th, 2018. We're doing our 650th episode of the Dave's Gone By radio show. We're calling it Astral Weekend in honor of our guest, Richard Davis, who played, he didn't just play on the record. He arranged and did the extraordinary bass parts for all those songs on Van Morrison's album, Astral Weeks. He was also on a couple of Bruce Springsteen albums, and he worked with such jazz greats as Eric Dolphy and Elvin Jones and Sarah Vaughan and Miles Davis and pop people like Frank Sinatra. I mean, it's friggin' Richard Davis. He's got a street named after him now in Madison, Wisconsin. Love you, honey. Should I call you after I'm done, or what's that? Okay, cool. I just asked my wife if I should call her when the show's done, and she's like, I have a peanut butter sandwich. We're sending that one out to Art Paul Schlosser, the author of the great song, Have a Peanut Butter Sandwich. If you've never heard it, you must. You must. Anyway, going on with the program, as I keep mentioning, we're only 3 weeks away from the Tony Awards, the celebration of Broadway. The season is over in another week. I believe the official season, and all the shows that were going to be considered for Tony Awards had to have opened 2 weeks ago, just before the Tony nominations came out. So there's a lot to talk about in terms of Broadway and the theater. And what do you know? We do that every week on this program in a segment that we call Inside Broadway. Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. Oh, how lucky you are to be Facebook viewers, because you get to see and hear me blow my nose and get all the schnarzes out that my radio listeners, they're not privy to that very special part of this radio show. Anyway, we go inside Broadway to talk about the Rialto, because I do love it so much. And get ready, we got a lot of listy stuff on this segment today, because it is award season already. Yeah, the Tonys aren't until June 10th, but there's a whole bunch of other awards celebrating Broadway and off-Broadway, and they've been announcing their winners already. And so here we go. We got some lists for you to let you know about the shows that opened this year. So I call this OCC Can You See? Because the Outer Critics Circle Awards have been announced. The ceremony isn't until May 24th at Sardi's, but this week they announced the winners of the 68th Annual Outer Critics Circle Awards, and the OCC handles both Broadway and off. The most wins went to Harry Potter, it got 6, and then next was My Fair Lady with 5, and SpongeBob SquarePants, the musical, got 4. The winner of Best Play was Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, parts 1 and 2, which beat The Children, Farinelli and the King, and Junk. That's for Best Broadway Play, by the way. For Best Off-Broadway Play, a play called Admissions won. For Broadway Musical, the winner, and this is a shock unless you kind of know the ins and outs of things, but I'll tell you the ins and outs of things. So the winner for Broadway Musical was SpongeBob SquarePants. the musical. And a lot of people and critics liked that show, and people didn't really expect to like it, and were very pleasantly surprised, especially by the staging, but also by the craft and the fun of the musical. But people are saying, wait a minute, SpongeBob SquarePants over the band's visit? How did that happen? Remember that because the OCC covers off-Broadway, they dealt with the band's visit last season when it was off-Broadway, and now they can't deal with it again. So it wasn't up for any kind of nominations or wins at all. It wasn't allowed to be considered. So with the band's visit out of all the categories, that left room for other things to win. For example, SpongeBob SquarePants, which beat Escape to Margaritaville, Frozen, Mean Girls, and the Harold Prince tribute, Prince of Broadway. Off-Broadway musical went to Desperate Measures, which beat Jerry Springer, the opera Miss You Like Hell, which featured, I think, our friend of the neighborhood, Daphne Rubin Vega, and Woody Says. Now, let's see, a couple of other Outer Critics Circle things. Revival of a play, not much of a surprise. That went to Angels in America, although it had some decent contenders there, including Three Tall Women, Lobby Hero, Travesties, and Jesus Hopped the A-Train off Broadway. And then Musical Revival. This is a horse race, no matter how you put it. It was My Fair Lady beating out Carousel and also Once on This Island, as well as an off-Broadway production of Pacific Overtures. Book of a Musical went to Tina Fey for Mean Girls, and Score of a Musical, this is kind of wild, it went to SpongeBob SquarePants. That's going to be real interesting in the ceremony because the score for that show was written by literally 2 or 3 dozen people. They plucked all these different pop songs by pop stars and put those into SpongeBob SquarePants. So I don't know how many people are going to fit on the dais. It's going to fall through like an Ernie Kovacs gag. We'll see. Anyway, and congratulations. Best Solo Show went to Harry Clark, which was written by our friend of the neighborhood. I forgot to put his name down. Oh, the English guy, and I'm blanking on his name. I'm so sorry. Oh, no. Well, anyway, it starred Billy Crudup, but it's written by somebody, one of my Facebook people. Please message me instantly and let me know so I don't feel really, really stupid here. Too late. I feel really, really stupid here. And it was David Cale. David Cale. He was on the program just a couple of months ago. I'm sorry, David. But I congratulate you, David, on the Harry Clark win for Best Solo Show. And the John Gassner Award for New Play went to Jocelyn Bio's Schoolgirls. And those are some of the Outer Critics Circle category wins. You can go to the OCC website and see all of them in the design categories, etc. Now, there's another award ceremony that will be happening later, but they've announced the winners this past week. It's the 74th Annual Theater World Awards. And these are cool because the point of the Theater World Awards is to honor newcomers, people who may have done roles here and there, little roles, or done TV and film, but they're kind of new to New York theater. And this is a way to honor them for joining the great circle of New York performers. So among the winners there, Anthony Boyle and Noma Dumezweni from Harry Potter, Jamie Brewer from Amy and the Orphans, an off-Broadway show there, Johnny Flynn from Hangmen, which may come to Broadway, we'll see, Dennis Goff and James McArdle from Angels in America, Harry Hayden Payton from, I always mispronounce his name, Harry Haddon Payton from My Fair Lady, he plays Higgins, Haley Kilgore of Once on This Island, Lauren Ridloff from Children of a Lesser God, Ethan Slater of SpongeBob, Charlie Stemp of Hello Dolly, and Katie Sullivan of Cost of Living. If you notice, Hello Dolly is in there because they're allowed to look at a show that's been running a while if a newcomer comes into it. And by the way, the John Willis Lifetime Achievement Award went to Victor Garber, well deserved. And our friend of the neighborhood, Peter Felicia, will be hosting the Theater World Awards live June 4th at Circle in the Square Theater on Broadway. So congratulations to all the winners there. Are we done with awards yet on this Dave's Gone By episode? No, we are not. Because we've got the off-Broadway Lucille Lortel Awards, the 33rd Annual Lortel Awards, which were announced last Sunday at NYU's Skirball Center. Lifetime Achievement Award went to Eve Ensler. Of course, you know her from the Vagina Monologues, and she did a piece this year off Broadway that was very well received. Going on to the Playwrights Sidewalk outside the Lucille Lortel Theater on Christopher Street, you'll see a sidewalk with signatures of names. I think there's handprints or footprints there too. It's been a while since I've been downtown, but it's kind of like Grauman's Chinese theater thing with handprints and signatures. Michael Friedman is going to be put there. He was a young theater composer who died this year, and they want to kind of honor him. And then for a body of work, the WP Theater, which used to be the Women's Project Theater, now they call it the WP, they won a special award at the Lortels. Best play went to Cost of Living and Jocelyn Bio's Schoolgirls. It was a tie, woohoo. Musical went to the Korean-style musical K-pop. Best revival went to Jesus Hop the A-Train. Okay. Oh, and Harry Clark won the solo award from the Lortels. So that's another win for our friend David Cale. Congratulations. Now, we just mentioned a little bit of sad news, bad news. We mentioned Children of a Lesser God, which with Lauren Ridloff, the deaf star of, this is the international idiot symbol for deaf, by the way, winning a Theater World Award for that show. The bad news is that Children of a Lesser God, it didn't get wonderful reviews mostly, and not really getting a lot of audiences, so they're going to close it. It was in an open run, but it's going to end at the end of May 27th, after 23 previews and only 54 regular performances. So you have only 3 weeks to catch this show. It's all about this tutor, this guy, hearing teacher, this professor, who tries to reach into the world of a deaf woman who's very comfortable in her life, in her world, not hearing, not opening up. But he helps her, they fall in love, and there's complications and stuff. But critics also complained that the structure of the play is kind of old-fashioned and a little annoying. I mean, the guy is like me. He talks through the whole play because he's got to talk for himself and the girl. Plus, there's also some Me Too issues because he's an older teacher and stuff's going on. I didn't get to see it, so I would have liked to have weighed in on it. And some people really like the play, really like the revival. If you're interested, you want to catch Children of a Lesser God at Studio 54 through the end of the month on Broadway. Well, I want to remind you, by the way, that we couldn't do this segment of Dave's Gone By inside Broadway without the kind auspices of our friends at Total Theater. Now, they have a website called TotalTheater.com that is free for everyone to surf and enjoy. And these are reviews of Broadway shows, off and off Broadway, regional theater, international theater, festivals, thousands of reviews really at this point on TotalTheater.com, including brand new ones. So if you go to the What's New page, all you got to do is go to the homepage of TotalTheater.com, click on What's New, and it'll bring you to hyperlinks of all the reviews of shows that are still running on, off Broadway and everywhere else. So it's a really handy place to go. But you can also surf the sections of TotalTheater.com, like Criticopia, where the reviews are, Periodica, where we have articles and items about theater going on all across America, all across the world. As a matter of fact, there's a story in there just this week by our friend Mary Shen Barnage, who writes out of Chicago. There's an actress there doing a show about Betty Davis, and she interviewed the actress and she discusses the show. You can see that in Periodica this week at TotalTheater.com. Do check it out. Now, Total Theater, the company, also has a magazine, a journal that they put out. It's called Performing Arts Insider, and it has been the Bible of Broadway since 1944. This is the place where people who are in the theater industry, this is where they check to find out all the information about every single show on the stages of New York, on, off, and off Broadway. So you go through it. I can show you, literally, my Facebook friends, what's in here. Okay, so on page 2, not only is there a table of contents, but it lists every show of the past Broadway season and the upcoming season. There's a guide to all the Broadway theaters and what's in them and how long they're playing. We turn the page, there's an entire page of press agents. These are the folks who handle the plays and theaters in New York. Then there's calendar listings of Broadway and then off-Broadway shows. And then we get to the heart of the book. This is where you get the unbelievably comprehensive listings for every single off, and Broadway show. Look at this. This is one show. This is Anastasia right here. All the who wrote it, who's in it, what it's about. So I get my finger here going backwards. What else is on there? Some notes about the show, some trivia about it, who the casting director is, the designers, the tech people, and then these are all the producers. So this is how you contact. This is how you know who is putting on the shows, who's got the money to invest in shows, just in case you've got a show that you want to get going. All of this on every page of Performing Arts Insider. Now, this is not a cheap magazine. You can't get it for $2 on your local newsstand in your supermarket. But the people who subscribe to Performing Arts Insider, they renew again and again. It's easy to renew, by the way. You can just go on the back page. There's the information for subscriptions, and there's a particular person who does a radio show. They renew because it's worth it. They know that there's really no other place that they can get all this information in one incredibly convenient place. Hard copy. You can read it on the train. You can read it on your couch. Read it on an airplane instead of looking on a little phone. It's nice. People still like to read magazines and journals, and you can get yourself a copy of Performing Arts Insider. How? Well, if you're in New York, you can buy a single issue on the stands at the Drama Bookshop and also Theater Circle. They're both in the West 40s off 7th Avenue. Or just go to performingartsinsider.com, performingartsinsider.com. It'll give you the information on subscribing either for 21 issues a year or just the monthly edition, the 12 issues a year, or it will even tell you how you can send away for a single issue to see if it's right for you. Performing Arts Insider, it is and remains the Bible of Broadway. Now, speaking of Broadway, we are doing our Inside Broadway segment today on Dave's Gone By. Thank you all for joining us, and welcome still to Paul and Ian and Jeffrey and Michael and Lawrence. Welcome, welcome. We got so much more of the show to do. We've got Hans and the Cow, we've got a Limerick, we've got a Segue, and of course we've got Richard Davis, the jazz musician. But right now we're still talking about the theater, and we're going to talk about a couple of shows that I got to see when I was in New York about two and a half weeks ago. One of them is actually two of them. I did get to see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, both parts 1 and 2. They're at the Lyric Theater on Broadway. The shows opened on April 22nd. And here's the deal. It's a long piece. It's 2 parts of an epic. And you can either see them both on the same day. I think they do them Saturdays and Wednesdays. You can see the whole thing. And then other days you do part 1 on like a Thursday, part 2 on a Friday, that kind of stuff goes on. So, of course, it is based on the J.K. Rowling stories, the novels, Harry Potter, that whole series. But I want to make clear, and I've made this clear on the show before, it is not like the first Harry Potter book and Goblet of Fire or the Haunted Hallows, any of those. This is a new Harry Potter story that Rowling worked on with the author Jack Thorne and also the director John Tiffany to create a brand new segment, an ongoing piece in the saga of Potterdom. And it's very clear that this show is not as much about Harry Potter and Hermione and Lucius Malfoy and all those. They're present, they're important, but it's really about the next generation. It's about Harry Potter's kid, Albus Severance Potter, named very specifically for 2 very important people in Harry's life. And it's also about Malfoy's kid. Now, Malfoy was Harry Potter's nemesis, not his worst nemesis, obviously, throughout the Potter books, but one of the bad guys when Harry was still a kid. And now his son and Harry Potter's kid are both going to Hogwarts. They're both going off to magic school. What do you know? They meet on the train and they become bestest friends pretty much immediately, which is nice, except the parents are not thrilled at this at all, especially Harry, who sees Malfoy's kid as bad and cursed and bringing on bad, terrible things. Well, Lucius's kid is a good guy. Malfoy is not like his dad at all. He's a nice kid. And he and Harry become best friends, and they go through adventures together. In fact, they're so nice and so good that they want to save a life. They figure out that there's a way to go back in time and save Cedric Diggory. If you remember your Potter lore, this was a kid who died in one of those competitions that they have during, not beyond Quidditch, when they have this big annual match where other magic schools bring their kids. And so Cedric Diggory was killed, thanks to Voldemort, in one of these matches. And now Harry Potter's kid and Malfoy's kid, they get together and they get, if we just change time a little bit, we can right the wrongs that our parents did. And, Harry Potter could have done better or done more, and Malfoy could have done. So now the kids want to make everything right. They'll go back in time, make this one little change, and then come back. Cedric Diggory lives. They're heroes. They show up their dads. Yeah. Well, I think we've seen this before. It's kind of like that butterfly beating its wings in the Amazon forest. And then if you kill that butterfly, tsunamis start happening in India. Kind of the same idea in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. If you go back and you change one little thing in time, you change a bunch of things. And so that's the nature, that's the plot of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child on Broadway, which is involving. It's really well done. If you are a Potter fanatic, I highly recommend it. I would give it 3.5 to 3 3/4 stars. And the interesting thing about it is it's kind of dark, and you want to say, oh, well, there's magic, right? There's effects and special things and lasers and fire things going back and forth, and they do, but it's all kept rather low key, surprisingly so. You get more flash and bang and dazzle from a more typical Broadway musical than you will get from the Harry Potter show, which is more about storytelling, oddly enough, but it's true. And in a way, that's good. In a way, they haven't swamped this big story to tell with just crazy visuals and dazzle. But in another way, it's also a little bit, I won't say disappointing, but maybe it is just a slight bit disappointing. You keep waiting to be really enthralled and engulfed. And instead you're like, okay, this is pretty interesting drama. Oh, that was a nice little effect. And it doesn't help, again, that you're talking about the first act running 2 hours and 45 minutes. Well, the first part running 2 hours and 45 minutes, and the second part running 2.5 hours or more, a little bit, separated by a dinner break, which is fine. After getting through all of it, I was impressed. I was interested. I was never really bored. But at the same time, I felt, you know what? They could have done this in 4 hours with 2 intermissions and a little extra coda break, and it would have been fine. They didn't need to have 6 hours of this. And I love the Harry Potter books, especially the first one. I am a Potter fan, just not a fanatic. So for me, it was a 3-star show all around. I mean, I know it's Harry Potter. It's the next big thing. Everybody wants to see it. It'll be sold out for years. I'm just saying, as pure, regular drama, I liked it. I was involved, but not riveted. And I kind of wanted to be riveted, considering what we were dealing with here. So that's kind of my upshot about Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And I will throw this in. It interests me now that back in the days of folks like Peter Hall and Peter Brook, the English were really known for being out there and avant-garde and exciting with their presentations and their staging and the way they were doing Shakespeare and plays and musicals. I think it's shifted now. I think it's moved away from them and back to us in the United States. Because honestly, there is a way that the Brits direct, especially plays, that's kind of pageant-like. People run on, people run off, they talk, they go on, they go off. And I saw it in Wolf Hall. I saw it in King Charles III, which was a very good play. from a season or two ago. But there's that same. I almost felt you could do the Harry Potter play on the same set as Wolf Hall. So there's this kind of thing. I think Americans kind of have it over the Brits now in terms of just sheer excitement in direction. There's a pageantry level of British direction now that I kind of wish they would figure out a way to break out of. Anyway, those are my thoughts about Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Recommended, certainly, but I can't really say it's a must-see unless you're, as I said, a Potter nut. Now, in terms of a show that I will go the extra mile and say, yeah, you really should, almost must see this, there is the revival on Broadway of Carousel. It's beautifully sung. If nothing else, there are people, I don't know why, but there are reviewers, there are my friends who've seen Carousel, some of them just hate this revival. They loved the one at Lincoln Center 20-something years ago, which was a bit revisionist and a bit more modern in the design and staging. This is a more classically done Carousel. And then there are people who complain about the whole Me Too thing. I'll get into that. But in terms of just doing Rodgers and Hammerstein the right way, kind of an old-fashioned way, but having you sit there, get involved in the whole gesamte work, if you want to use that word, and I do, and not to mention the songs, the score of it. And again, if this is your first Carousel, you're not going to feel the way I do about it. And it's wonderful what age does to you. Because I remember seeing Carousel, the famous Lincoln Center one, 20-something years ago. And I had seen the movie, and I knew some of the songs, but I wasn't that much of a music theater Rodgers and Hammerstein guy at that point. So I was new to it, certainly new to the story. And so I sat there and watched it, and I was involved and a little sad, and it affected me. But a fellow critic that I knew, a radio critic, who was there sitting with me, she knew Carousel. I don't know if she saw the original or one of the 1960s revivals. She certainly knew the cast album. She certainly knew the movie backwards and forwards. And she, I think, had also lost a husband a few years earlier. So as soon as a song would start, she would start sniffling or outright crying. And I'd be there, it wouldn't have that effect on me because it was my first Carousel. I was first coming into it, wanted to get into it. And here she is, the first downbeat. She's like, well, you get older, you change, you become that person. So now, knowing the songs in Carousel, having seen the one 20 years ago, as soon as they start playing some of the songs, I'm like, so I'm getting verklempt even as I speak right now. But it's true. That's what age does to you and experience does to you. So there are songs in Carousel, maybe other people who aren't as affected by this particular production of the show feel like, oh, that wasn't such a great rendition of that number. But meanwhile, I'm being, oh, it's that number. Oh, I love that number. So take that with a grain of salt when I talk about Carousel now and give it 3.5 stars and say that you should see it and say that the Billy Bigelow sings, the guy's name is Joshua Henry. Boy, can that guy sing. And, if you wonder, maybe he's a little too rough and tough, too rough and tough and too disconnected from Julie Jordan to really make them a believable, passionate couple. You won't mind that when he sings Soliloquy to end the first act. It's like when he says, I'll go out and make it or steal it or take it or die. It's like, wow, nails you to the wall, curtain comes down, end of Act 1. Even though technically, I think in the old way they used to do Carousel, there was a little scene afterwards before they brought the curtain down. There's no way they could do that scene now. They need Joshua Henry singing Soliloquy, bam, the curtain goes down. And it's marvelous. And Jessie Mueller, whom you'll remember from, was it Waitress? She is Julie Jordan. People say that she's perhaps not rightly cast. I thought she was fine. She sings really well. And it is true. The one thing that this Julie and this Billy Bigelow don't have is really true sexual chemistry. I mean, she's an attractive woman, He is very built and good looking. You figure there would be like sexy sparks and fire, which is important to the characters. They have to have that, because otherwise the way he treats her and the way she takes it is just pure brutality and pure like Me Too gone horribly wrong. There has to be the same thing that you find in Streetcar Named Desire. Why does Blanche, not Blanche, why does Stella come back to Stanley? Because as she says, there's things that happen between a man and a woman in the dark that are not explainable. They just happen. So you need that for Carousel, and it's not quite there in this edition. And people found that a lack in this revival. And they also, they want this revival. Since we're in the middle of the Me Too movement, of Harvey Weinstein, of Bill Cosby, of people actresses coming forward saying they've been raped and been molested and stuff. We want them to deal more with sometimes a slap doesn't feel like a slap. And really delve in and try and find a way to make that work in 2018. Because Billy, and he's very clear about this. He hit her, he didn't punch her, he didn't manhandle her, but he smacked her one time, and he's felt guilty about it since. And probably he's the kind of guy who would eventually get mad and smack her again and escalate. But again, we're talking about a show that came out in 1945, right? Based on a Hungarian play, Lilium, by I think it's by Molnar. The material is what the material is. There's only so much that Rodgers and Hammerstein could finesse. Even though people are saying one of the reasons people think My Fair Lady is the favorite for the Tony Award in terms of revival is that they figured out a way to make Eliza Doolittle the focal point of that show and make her stronger and more tough and a little bit older than she has ever been, more feisty. It's like, it's her show, and Henry's just her way of getting to the top, not really the other way around. In Carousel, it's more still like Julie falls in love with this man. She is her own woman. She's feisty. She makes her own choices, even though they're often the wrong choices. But she gets into this marriage, and she's in it for the long haul, even after, spoiler alert, Billy Bigelow dies. Well, this is all, again, to say that you may have issues with the book of Carousel and the play Lilium that it was based on. But you shouldn't necessarily take those issues into this revival. It does not negate the problem that they have in the domestic violence and the imbalance of men and women in the show, but they do, as a matter of fact. One thing that this production made very clear is there's a constant roiling battle between who's on top, the women or the men. You'll notice the women kind of stay in the background, but then they come forward, and they're like, it's like, hey, when they have the clam bake, we're baking here. We're almost ready. Give us half an hour. I know you men are hungry. I know you've been out there clamming, but we're not ready yet. You wait. And there's the back and forth between Mr. Snow and Carrie Pipperidge, the secondary couple in the musical. And he essentially wins, right? He marries her. He has the big deal business that he builds of boats. And they have a lot of children together, which she wasn't so sure about as a single girl. But at the same time, if you notice their minute-to-minute, day-to-day interactions, she tends to win those arguments. She tends to come out on top in the more domestic moment-to-moment stuff, even though he is the king of their castle. So this Carousel does not ignore men versus women issues whatsoever. But again, if you're going to go see it, it's the overall feel of the piece. It's a little dark. It isn't necessarily the most beautiful visual Carousel you've ever seen, but it's a dark story. And the singing, again, for the most part, is wonderful. I was not a huge fan of Renee Fleming. She is, of course, the one, Nettie Fowler. She's the one who gets to sing, don't be afraid of the You'll Never Walk Alone. It's basically the one song that could net you a featured actress Tony Award. She sings that song beautifully, As a matter of fact, they slow it down for her just so she can sing it as slowly and beautifully as possible. She does a really nice job. I didn't like her that much in the rest of the show, and I found her sometimes rather hard to understand. You figure an opera singer would be very careful with enunciation. I did not find her that clear. On the other hand, I think my favorite of the whole show was Alexander Gemignani playing Mr. Snow. He is the best Mr. Snow I've ever seen. Fabulous singer, perfect diction, and just the right attitude, because Mr. Snow is the weirdest kind of villain. He never really does anything wrong. He's actually a pure, good, moral husband guy. And yet, by the middle of the second act, we've grown to be like, not him. Oh, wow, that poor Carrie. She needs herself on some level, not just a Mr. Snow. She needs a little Billy in her life too. But he's wonderful. And of course, the songs are the songs. The dancing's pretty good. There's still a little too much dance for my taste, but I'm not a dance aficionado. Anyway, it's Carousel. What can I tell you? And let's play to get out of Inside Broadway. Let's hear a tune from Carousel. Now this is interesting. This comes off the 1965 Broadway cast revival album, but it's not from that cast. This is from a singer of that period named Doretta Morrow. I guess she's pretty much forgotten, but she has some albums out, and I think she did some theater work. But she does a very nice version of What's the Use of Wonderin', a bonus track on that 1965 cast recording, even though this track is from 1953. Anyway, I really, really like this version. It's What's the Use of Wonderin', and it's one of those Carousel songs that, you start to hear it, and it's out comes the hanky. Here it is.
What's the use of wondering if he's good or if he's bad? Or if you like the way he wears his hat? Oh, what's the use of wondering if he's good or if he's bad? He's your fella and you love him. That's all there is to that.
Now, I apologize to our Facebook listeners, but I'm trying not to lose our Facebook feed. So on our radio broadcast, we're playing the entire song, and then we have another song after this. And I'm going to have it mostly potted down here on Facebook. I apologize. But it's like YouTube. They get hinky with copyright issues. So just hang with us for just 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll be back with, the interview with Richard Davis. You don't want to miss that. Also, we got so much more of this program to do. So keep it here, even if you're not hearing the beautiful music that we're playing.
Whether his thoughts are true.
Sorry. A little bit. Well, silence never hurt anybody. I'm going to go get a cookie. I've earned myself a cookie. And since I was raised to share, why don't you all have a cookie too? There it is. Chocolate chips. Nummies. Eat up. Here's some fruit potato. Oh.
You're his girl.
Almost. Okay, and one more song. Now listen to that bass. This time.
It's strong to the fields all wet with rain. I'm back along the lane again. There in the sunshine. sweet summertime, the way that young lovers do.
Again, I apologize to Facebook listeners. Well, on the radio, we're playing Van Morrison's The Way Young Lovers Do from Astral Weeks because, you all gonna have that record in your collections anyways. So after the show's over, you can go put it on and hear Van Morrison, amazing jazz musicians, among them Richard Davis on the bass. So in just about 2 more minutes, we'll have Richard Davis in the neighborhood. We'll call it the Davis Hood today. Anyway, I gotta go to the bathroom, actually. So I'll see you in just a couple of minutes. Sorry about the silence. No more of that bass playing here. You can hear it. I don't want to lose Facebook here. Anyway. Oh, well, and thank you, Joseph. Joseph, who is a fellow UNCer, says, "Hi, Dave. Very excited that you have Richard Davis with you today. No more excited than I am, Joe. This is going to be way, way cool. Wait till you hear some of the stories he has to tell. It's pretty neat. Anyway, finishing up our Van Morrison, and then Richard Davis in the neighborhood."
Hello to my radio audience. My name is Richard Davis, musician, and I'm on Days Gone By on UNC Radio.
Welcome back to Dave's Gone By, and we're going to be taking a musical bent for the next few minutes because my guest is truly a legendary musician, both in jazz and pop rock circles. This man has worked with and played with everyone from Leonard Bernstein to Elvin Jones to Laura Nyro to Miles Davis to Frank Sinatra to Bruce Springsteen. He's also been an educator for many years at the University of Wisconsin. His specialty is the double bass, and you can hear that on Bruce Springsteen's first album, Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey. You hear it on Born to Run even, and one of the absolute greatest albums of all time, Van Morrison's Astral Weeks, which just would not be the album that it is without Richard Davis's bass. In fact, Grail Marcus called Davis's work on Astral Weeks, quote, the greatest bass he ever heard on a rock album. And I am inclined to agree. So it is a pleasure and an honor for us to welcome to the neighborhood Richard Davis. Hello and welcome to you.
Well, hello and welcome to myself.
Okay. First of all, do you still teach? Are you still at University of Wisconsin?
I retired 2 years ago.
But you still play? Do you still practice?
Well, in a way, I'm not as busy as I always have been, but I'm always practicing in my mind.
Wow.
Mind stays busy on the bass.
Are your fingers okay? I mean, I think you're 89 years old. Is that true?
88.
88. Oh, sorry. I didn't want to make you older than you were. But are your fingers okay? Do you have arthritis? Or are you physically capable of playing?
I'm capable of playing. Arthritis is in my knee,
Oh.
and I never played with my knee before.
Hmm. Do you ever go and play with other people, in clubs, in local places or
No.
concerts? No.
I stopped doing that.
Because?
Oh, I don't have any interest in
Oh.
playing like that again. Although I do have some things coming up, which is commemorative of an award I'm receiving in October.
Ooh, what award?
I don't know the name of it. Somebody.
Okay.
Well, I know what it is. They named a street after me.
They're naming a street after you. Where? In Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Richard Davis. Where's it? Where is it? What corner?
What corner?
Yeah, Davis and what?
It's a new street called Richard Davis Lane.
That is so. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Well, thank you.
Now, did they ever do anything for you in Chicago? Because that's where you were born.
Yeah. Well, Chicago, although I was born and raised there and started my career there, Chicago has never made me feel like they are honoring what I've done, which is okay.
Okay. And you moved to New York in the early 1950s and just started circulating around the jazz clubs of that time.
Yeah.
So what are some of your earliest memories of playing in clubs in New York?
Well, working in Village Vanguard, which is the oldest club in the world,
Yeah.
and several other clubs that are significant to jazz history. Any club in New York that had the word jazz, I worked it several times with different artists.
Did you have any particular favorites that you enjoyed playing with?
Eric Dolphy.
Eric Dolphy, okay. Why him?
Well, he was like a soulmate.
Mm.
He and I met in some heaven somewhere, and we clicked together. He became my best friend. He died when he was 34, and he inspired me quite a bit. I just loved the way he was as an angel that he was. Definitely an angel.
Wow. Do you have an anecdote of some precious particular memory of being pals with Eric Dolphy?
You know, Eric always said that a note goes into the air and then it's gone forever. That was his thing. He's quite a spiritual person. And he, along with John Coltrane, set the pattern for the spirituality of music all over the universe.
Did you ever get to meet or play with either Train or Bird?
Well, I never sat in with Bird, but Coltrane offered me a job when he was ordering food for his wife in the kitchen of Birdland. And I was in such awe of him. I never asked him. I just walked away from him. I was shocked. I never answered him. He said, "We'd like you to join the band." And years later, I thought about it and said, was I dreaming that? So I asked McCoy Tyner, who was with him at that time, and I said, "Did Coltrane ever ask or say anything about me joining the band?" He said, "He talks about it all the time."
Wow. And you were so shocked at being in his presence that it kind of went in one ear and out the other, and you didn't even think to say yes.
I didn't think at all.
Wow.
He affected people like that. He stopped junkies from being junkies. He stopped prostitutes from being prostitutes. People we had never met. He just was attracted to the intensity of his performance.
I'm kind of curious because it may be a cliche, but so many musicians, and especially jazz musicians, are given to being addicted to alcohol or drugs or gambling or things like that, were you able to stay on a pretty straight path, or did you have your issues?
Well, my answer to that is that you only hear about musicians because they're popular, but there's so many other people who never played a note of music who are strung out. And I met a lot of them too. Matter of fact, I was supposed to be the matured one who guided them alone when they were strung out.
But you stayed off pretty much everything and stayed fairly healthy.
I never got on anything.
Wow.
The music made me high enough.
When did you realize that music was in your soul and that you had to be a musician?
When I was about 1945. See, in those days, you heard the live band on the stage in your neighborhood theater. And I was very impressed with what I was looking at and hearing. And I said, that's for me.
Do you remember the first, I guess it would have been a 78, or the first piece of recorded music that you ever heard, or that really affected you?
I was heavily into Duke Ellington.
Duke Ellington, yeah.
And I started listening to him when I was 12 years old. And all through the years, even today. Matter of fact, just before you called, I was singing one of Ben Webster's solos in my head. Are you familiar with Ben Webster?
Ben Webster, no, unfortunately. I have to admit, I'm more familiar, much more, with pop and rock and roll than I am with jazz. Let me ask, we're talking with Richard Davis, the bass player, man who has played with such legendary jazz musicians also as Miles Davis. Do you have any memories or stories about Miles Davis?
Yeah, but I don't think I can repeat them on the radio.
Oh, on my show you can. Believe me, you can. It's okay.
You asked for it.
Okay.
Well, Miles wanted me to come to California with him, and I didn't want to go. He would say, come on, motherfucker. Come go to California with me. I said, well, Miles, I promised my wife I would stop traveling. I've been on the road with Sarah Vine for 5 years. He said, man, why is that you got to travel? Come on out here, motherfucker. I said, Miles, I can't go. He said, well, if you come out here, I get this bitch to suck your dick underwater.
All right.
I told my students that, and they said, well, did you go?
Did you?
I'll leave them at that. They're still guessing.
All right. Well,
So,
you
I
did.
tell
Yeah, sorry.
2 innings the story.
That's,
Last I heard, she drowned
oh.
while giving a blowjob.
Yeah. Thanks for warning us before that story. Yeah, I do appreciate that. So, and you mentioned touring for 5 years with Sarah Vaughan. Do you have any Sarah Vaughan stories? I assume they would not be like that one.
Well, I have some Sarah Vaughan stories.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time you got. This is a fairly long story.
I'll make time.
Mistaken identity. You want to hear that?
I will make time, yes.
Okay, well, we're in Europe with a trio. And this one guy, I forget where we were, but he was in love with Sarah Vaughan. And he asked us which one of us was married to her. None of us were married to her. And he was surprised. And we said, well, do you want to make out with her? He said, yeah. So we arranged it.
Really?
Yeah, Sarah's like one of the guys, talk to her about anything. So we arranged it, and we saw him the next day. And he said, she went into this room in a hotel, I guess a bedroom, and she never came out. And so we said, man, we got to get to the bottom of this.
Huh.
He did not recognize her. He thought she was Sarah's. He thought that the woman he saw was Sarah Vaughan's maid.
How did she feel about the experience?
Or she just said he doesn't know much. We never saw what happened.
Well, no. Oh man. Well, that is a cool, not a story I was expecting either. You have such amazing stories. Tell me then that you also have. First of all, when did you work with Frank Sinatra?
I worked with Frank Sinatra. See, I was what you call a studio recording musician.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you lay tracks out for these artists, and you never see them. So you might say I was working with him, for him, but not really intimately.
So you got charts and you played them, but he was in another room or not even necessarily there when you were there?
You got it.
Okay. And it's like when I talk about the pop musicians, I think it will be different when you played for Astral Weeks with Van Morrison. He had to have been there. That was all spontaneous almost, yes?
He was there.
Yeah. What was he like? Because he's notoriously prickly and ill-tempered, or so people say. How was he?
You got it.
Oh, yeah? Even then?
Well, then I didn't know him. He just some guy walked in the studio and started singing. But through the years, I've only heard bad, negative things about him.
Yeah. But you don't have any bad stories, or you have good stories of that experience. I mean, Astral Weeks is one of the great albums ever. Oh, let me ask you, do you agree with that? Or is it just another album to you?
I just said it was just another album.
Mm-hmm.
When people talk about it, and the way they talk about my performance on the album, I started thinking, I said, maybe it was good.
Well, it's more than good. It's actually quite great. There's no other bass playing I've ever heard on a popular music album where you are, in some cases, carrying some of the, I mean, all the songs are wonderful, but the bass is driving the track.
So he never gave me credit for that. Matter of fact, he was envious of all the attention I got.
Huh.
But he did not get.
So when he went back and did Astral Weeks live a few years ago, you weren't part of the band again. He did it with a different band, yeah?
That was a long story, too.
Oh, okay. I'm listening.
Well, he was 5 people at the drop of a hat, and I was amongst one of them.
Oh.
And my girlfriend was at the recording. And she said as soon as he walked in, and he was the first person I think I told this to. As soon as he walked in, he said, what kind of bass are you today was playing? Nobody asked me that question. But he was looking for somebody to pick on.
Mm-hmm.
So she and I went back to Wisconsin. And the guy who delivered the message to me said, we don't have time for you to learn that piece. I'm the one who made the piece.
Whoa. I don't.
So he hated him for that.
Yeah.
And the guy who delivered the message, who was a friend of mine, he found him a year later.
Yeah.
And the guy who recorded this phenomenal album, who's a dear friend of mine today, Brooks Arthur, one of the finest engineers in the world. He asked him to get all the mechanics together because we were going to record in California.
Mm-hmm.
He was ready to find him. He's known to be an asshole.
Yeah. As you know, you are far from the first or last person to say that about him. And I'm sorry to hear that because that was one of the great recordings. Did you, sorry, you were going to say?
People are still asking about the album and the date and how we come together with all these beautiful ideas. They don't know that I instrumented the whole thing.
That's amazing. I mean, just the feeling of it is different even from any other Van Morrison album that came later. When he went on to Moondance, it was already a whole different vibe from that amazing session. Now, did you have a better experience with Bruce Springsteen?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Entirely different.
Tell.
Entirely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, what was that like when you were working with Bruce on his first album, Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey?
But I didn't know who he was.
Right.
Like I said, you can call it so many musicians during the week.
Yeah.
You don't know half of them, but they know you. And he was entirely different. Matter of fact, I played with him in Milwaukee, I guess, 3 years ago. And he invited my girlfriend and 8 of her relatives down to this club and gave us a great banquet.
Hmm.
He just after. And so I said, how did that, you got to know who I was?
See, that's the kind of story we want to hear about rock stars.
What?
No, I'm just saying that's the kind of thing that's nice to hear about rock. And not only were you on that first album, but you were on one of my very favorite tracks on Born to Run, Meeting Across the River. Did you arrange that one?
No, I had nothing to do with it.
Mm.
He just called me in to do this piece. Well, I think, let me say the story about how I first met him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I had a young fella who thought I walked on water.
Yeah.
He thought I was a great bass player and a great person. And he comes to my house all the time. So this one time, I said, I'm getting ready to do a recording. You want to come along? He said, yeah. And he had his girlfriend with him. And they bring this too. So we went to the studio. And I'm sitting there with all these strangers.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Springsteen was one of them. I didn't know who he was. And so, he said, we're going to roll this tape, and we want you to add some bass to it. Okay. So they rolled the tape. I put it on a bass track. And the producer said, that's a fine piece of work you're doing, but it's too close to the drum line. Okay, roll the tape again. That's good, he said, but it's too close to the guitar line. This studio I told you thought I was God. He jumped up and screamed and said, do you know who you're talking to? He was upset that somebody was criticizing, but unhappy. So I had to go ahead and shut him up.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Came out, did another thing, and that was it.
Because it's a beautiful track. It's one of my favorite Springsteen numbers ever. Can I ask, you've also worked and done quite a bit of classical music. What makes a good or a great classical music conductor?
Well, you have a loaded question. When people ask me what makes a great composer great, my answer is to them is people still like hearing their music.
Right, but what makes a conductor great?
I know. Getting to that now.
Ah, sorry.
A conductor is like the greatest football coach. He can get you to work together with basically strangers, and if you all married each other. They have that way of pulling people together. Some of the greatest conductors I worked with were Leonard Bernstein stands on top of this. And then there was George Bell. There was Leopold Stokowski.
You worked with all these people, George Sell, Leopold Stokowski, Leonard Bernstein, you played in orchestras for them.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you have any specific memories or anecdotes of any of these great conductors?
Well, you want to hear a risky story?
Always.
I've never told anyone before.
I don't think it could get more risque than the Miles Davis one, but go for it.
Okay, I'm working with Toscanini.
Yeah.
Are you old enough to know that name?
Arturo Toscanini, yes.
Oh, good. Well, he was the greatest of the greatest. And I'm working with him. I was contracted to do his job by one of my friends, who's also a bass player.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never told this story to anybody. But you're the first. David Lefkowitz.
Yeah. That'd be me. So tell me. Yeah.
Okay, so we went out for a break. 10 or 20-minute break. And the contractor came back early. And there was Toscanini screwing his prima donna opposite on the couch.
Whoa.
Toscanini looked up at him and said, "Mum's word."
God, musicians do get a lot of tail. They do classical, jazz, rock. This is why guys go into music, man. Well, but you were married early, right?
Yeah.
Were you a good boy on the road when you were with bands and stuff, or did your wife kind of understand, hey, when he's home, but when he's not, he's not?
I never asked her the question. I was not a good boy.
Oh, okay. Do you have kids?
Huh?
Do you have children?
I had 4.
Oh,
One died.
I'm sorry.
There's another one who's serving a jail sentence for armed robbery. But I have 2 that are choice. I have one biological, my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
who's picked up looking at right now.
Oh,
And one is my son. I adopted from Japan.
from Japan. Oh, how nice.
Yeah.
And have you been married to the same woman all along?
I've got 3 wives.
Oh, okay.
And one wish that I could have married the 4th woman. But you understood. And people say, we were really married anyway. 13 years together. I'm looking at her picture right now.
Oh. So, let me ask you, do you have like an all-time favorite piece that you played on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Some of my favorite, matter of fact, one of my favorite pieces is being played in October at this concert. It's your name, Bill Lee.
I'm sorry, again?
Bill.
Oh, Bill Lee, the bass. Yeah, he's basically, we used to be on the Letterman band. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Bill was one of the greatest arrangers and composers for the bass. And he had a group of 8 bass players playing like a choir. And he was conducting, performing, and producing folk operas. Did all the parts, and he wrote all these terrific bass parts. He had me playing the lead part. And you know the name Ron Carter, of course.
Yes.
Michael Fleming, John Atkinson, Sam Jones,
Okay.
Mr. Yeast, Bill Sketch music ever. When we broke up, you'll be crying like a baby. If you don't know what you're doing, until you're breaking your legacy.
Yes.
And he was right.
Wow.
Well, so I had our separate careers. Now that album, on a piece called Monica, I'll never forget it.
Monica. Okay.
And that's what we played in October.
Wow. Wow. Chaos, before I let you go, I do have to sort of go and make sure that I ask about some people, just in case you knew them or played with them. For example, Louis Armstrong.
And well, you know, it's funny you asked that question, because one of my students at university said, I have a recording with you playing with Louis Armstrong. And I said, I never played with him. He said, I have an album at my house. And your name is on it. And then I realized that I played a birthday party for Louis Armstrong. I had no idea that it was recorded.
Wow. Was he on, but you were playing at his birthday party. Was he playing, or were you just in a band playing for him?
He was playing.
Oh, cool. And you didn't even remember, well, you knew you were at the party, but you never didn't know they were recording the track.
No, I didn't.
He seemed like a really good, nice guy. Did you get that feeling from him at the party?
Oh, yeah, I got to know him.
Really?
Because I sit next to him in the same jazz club, because he was the other band. As we sat next to each other, he started talking about Swiss Chris. You ever hear of Swiss Chris?
A Swiss Chris?
You know what that is?
I have no idea.
It's a laxative.
Oh, God. Why was he talking about this?
Why?
Yeah.
Because we were talking about partying.
Oh.
And, getting drunk and eating all kinds of fancy food. So whenever we do that, always take some Swiss Chris before you go to bed.
Oh, why is it that every story you have about a famous person is involving either really weird sexual things or constipation? This is wonderful. I love it.
Well, see, somebody in the room said,
yeah.
Suppose he said, suppose you don't wake up in time. It'll wake you up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Louis Armstrong was one of the funniest guys ever. And people said he was Uncle Tom. He was far from that.
Good to know. Yeah, if you ever, I'm sure you have, but when Ken Burns did that big documentary about jazz, it always came back to Louis Armstrong. It always tried to make the case for him being, in some ways, the father of American jazz.
No true words are ever spoken.
Cool. Well, you are certainly one of the great children of American jazz and pop and rock as well. It's been absolutely so much fun and delightful talking to Richard Davis. I guess my last question for you is, if there was one thing that you were trying to communicate to your music students at the University of Wisconsin about music, about playing, what was that?
What was one thing I would say?
Like if you had to leave your students at the end of a semester with one big message, what would it be?
Practice.
Mm-hmm.
I have one more thing to say about
Oh, please.
Louis Armstrong.
Oh, yeah, please.
I've forgotten what it was already.
Well, does it still involve Swiss Chris?
No.
Oh, no. different thing. And, well, we can. God, it seems like any jazz person that I can name, you knew, and played with and
I know what it was.
yes.
My mother was from New Orleans, and that's all they talked about when I was a kid was Louis Armstrong. She had recordings of his. And my first marriage, I invited her to New York for my wedding. And you know who was playing on the bandstand?
No.
Louis Armstrong.
Oh,
They were in heaven.
I can imagine. Oh, that's
There's a guy who they just knew through recordings, legacy, and they were sitting there listening to him in New York City.
it must have been one of her proudest, most wonderful.
It was.
Yeah.
I was proud to have been a part of that.
And actually, before I might as well ask as well. Did you know Monk?
Did I know Monk? Man,
Okay.
there's three guys that I wanted to play with and never did.
Mm.
Was Thelonious Monk, John Lewis, and Horace Silver.
Hmm.
Now, John Lewis, who I just admired, I thought he was God. When I met him in New York, I walked up to him. He said, "How did you ever conceive that piece?" You know that piece? He wrote that piece.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And man, all he did was bend over, smiling. Years later, he called me to come to New York because he wanted to invite me to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
He was married to an Hungarian woman. He was into the Hungarian culture,
Okay.
and his wife was Hungarian. So they set me up at his house on the Upper East Side with the greatest dinner I've ever had. He said, "I want you to go on tour with me." And man, I was in heaven.
Yeah.
And he gave me the music. This is the music. He said, "In 2 months, we're going to go on tour." He called me a month later. He died.
Well.
And
Yeah.
I was brokenhearted, man. My chance to play with John Lewis.
Hmm.
Now, Horace Silver always thought I was the bass player for him, but he thought I was too expensive.
Wait, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Huh?
I didn't hear what you just said.
He said he thought I was too expensive.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
Now, Monk and I love every note he played.
Yeah.
Still do. But it never happened. Those are the things I want to leave you with.
Hmm.
If you have any other questions,
I
stay on.
think well, I think we're great. I just want to thank you so much for being with us in the neighborhood, for sharing your stories, even the most, well, especially the most risque ones about your life, about your music. I wish you good health. I wish you great music in your head, even when you're not playing it with your hands and fingers anymore, and just lots more good times in your life. Thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure. Ruby, dooby, looby, sooby, looby, movie, dooby.
Bye-bye now.
Hey.
Kitty, can you lend me a few bucks? Tonight, can you give us a ride? Gotta make it through
Wonderful song there, of course, from the Born to Run album called Meeting Across the River, which I'm not going to play on Facebook so that we don't lose our Facebook feed. But if you know the album, everybody owns the album, go listen to the bass line on Meeting Across the River, and you will hear Richard Davis, who didn't arrange that one. He said he just kind of was called in as a session player on that song. But anyway, we're going to play that song full on our radio stream. So that's going to give us another 2 minutes before we're literally back with the actual program. So hang with me. It'll be a little quiet again while the song plays. And just watch me reading for a couple of minutes. But I'm here, and we've got so much more show for you, I promise. Just a reminder, we're playing a Bruce Springsteen song in the background here. Some classic Bruce Springsteen there from the Born to Run album, Meeting Across the River, one of my favorite all-time Bruce Springsteen songs, and certainly contributing to that, Richard Davis, the double bass player on that number. Gotta thank so much Richard Davis, for being a guest in the neighborhood and talking to us. And big congratulations, of course, to him again on having a friggin' street named after him. I would love if there was eventually some kind of David Lefkowitz Drive or Lefkowitz Lane. Wouldn't that be nice? Lefkowitz Lane. You know, I don't have any brothers and sisters. I don't have any kids, unless you count these potatoes here. So the legacy of the Lefkowitzes, which goes back, probably I wouldn't say hundreds of years, because our names were probably different in Russia and Poland, wherever the hell we came from. But it's still, Lefkowitz or Lefkov or Lefkow, whatever eventually developed into my name Lefkowitz, it stops when I drop dead. So that's over. Wouldn't it be nice for a few years after that, just somebody to stand on a road somewhere and say, oh, look, it's the David Lefkowitz cul-de-sac. That would be nice. It wouldn't have to be a big highway. I'm not that important, not that famous. I don't think I'm going to win any major prize, but the Dave Lefkowitz bypass. Considering the way I eat, there probably will be a Dave Lefkowitz bypass in my future at some point. But I think that would be nice. It's kind of like when Howard Stern years ago had a highway restroom named after him, because he said there ought to be more highways off New Jersey or places in New Jersey where people can get off the road, truck drivers go have a pee and come back. And he said he wanted that to be part of his legacy. So they actually put up a plaque of the Howard Stern Memorial Restroom. And I'd be all right with that. Maybe one of the restrooms at UNC, the ones that are kind of gender neutral. The Dave Lefkowitz, whoever you are, please come defecate here restroom. That would be a great honor I think. A great honor for me. I am Dave Lefkowitz, by the way. I'm the proprietor and host and founder of this radio program of the stream, Dave's Gone By. This is our 650th episode of the program. We've called it Astral Weekend in honor of our guest, Richard Davis. But we've got more to do. We're not done with the show by any stretch of the imagination, because we've got our Saturday Segue of songs in the news to do. We've got our Dave's Big Dictionary segment, and of course we even have part 9 out of 9 million of A Cow for Hansel to read to you. So yes, much more. But before we get to all of that, as promised, every week on the program, we get cultural. We like to bring a little poetry, a little beauty to your lives in what we call Colorado Limericks of the Damned, because the limerick form kind of lends itself to more playful and humorous kinds of verse. And since I'm the one writing these, they're also horrible, usually, and filthy and depraved. That's just where I tend to go in my imagination, even when I think of the beautiful towns and cities in Colorado. So we started this a couple of weeks ago, where each week we take a town in this beautiful state and we do a limerick about it. It's Colorado Limericks of the Damned.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 end with words that rhyme, and likewise verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Yes, Colorado Limerick of the Damned. And today's damnable place in this gorgeous state is a town I'd never heard of until I started writing these things, Antonito. Antonito. And if you are all ready, if you have your literature caps on, here we go. While traveling through Antonito, I met a strange fella named Beto. His extra-large foreskin kept adding on more skin and looked like a giant burrito. Yeah, that is our Colorado Limerick of the Damned for the day. Copyright 2018 by David Lefkowitz. Send your complaint letters to the University of Northern Colorado, care of CSU. Just send them there. We have our own problems, and we have more to do on this radio program of the streamed, not of the damned at all. And by the way, we give our damnedest thanks to all the folks who are watching us on Facebook, listening on our radio stream on iTunes and on Streama. We've got to thank, let's see, who's been tuning in. Laura Ann and Bruce and David and J.O., who was a guest on this program a couple of months ago and is the director of a show called The Bench that keeps getting extended off Broadway in New York. And we seem to have a phone call that I'm going to try and get the microphone to. UNC Radio, you're on the air.
David, you have to hook up the Wi-Fi on that computer because you're not getting signal. We don't get you.
Oh, you're not getting the audio stream.
No,
Nice.
You have to hook up the signal on the...
Yeah, I think we might have lost the, as you say, the Wi-Fi thing.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me know, my darling.
Okay.
Okay, so let me do that hopefully quick, because this being UNC, sometime, and it's always around between 11 and 12. So this will literally take me 30. I probably could have done this during the interview segment. Hold on. I'm just typing something here. Now this should probably allow us to get back in and get back to streaming again. That would be nice. Okay, thank you. And let's quit Safari also. And hopefully when we reload, we'll be rolling. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Again, and apologies for we were talking about parts of the body. Hey, why isn't this working? Come on, hold on. There we go. And okay, we should be back streaming again. I'm dreaming of streaming here. But no, what I'm really dreaming about is continuing the saga of Hansel and his cow. A cow that he doesn't own yet. If you've been following along with this fascinating story from Erna Holyer's book of 1967, was it, or 69? 1967. And it's Library of Congress catalog card 67-19716. So this is back in the time when you could still count all the books in the world. One of them was A Cow for Hansel by this woman named Erna Holyer, although when she published this book, which is kind of a boy's book, they called her Ernie, I guess to fool boys into thinking that it was an okay male book for them to enjoy. So here's the deal. Hansel is this German kid in the town of Oberhausen, Germany, feels sometime kind of pre-World War I, and certainly before World War II. And he's a farming kid from a poor but loving mom and dad, poor and loving family. Problem is they're even more poor because the whole town just had a cattle plague that wiped out half the oxen there and left the others pretty much unable to give milk. Okay, so they go to the market and they want to buy a cow, but they can't afford it, so they get a goat instead. And now in order to make a little more money and get them through this tough time, Hansel goes to help at a farm a few houses down. Now that farmer, he's not rich either, but they got more. And they've got oxen, they've got some land, they've got stuff to do and milk pails to empty. The farmer has another young man named Sepp that he sort of befriends. I don't know if there's more to the friendship than they're saying. No one put in the book if there was. But so that's about where we are. And, Hansel was a little worried about this family. He was a little bit, kind of didn't know if the father was kind of harsh, they'd be like, but they're actually pretty okay people. They just work very hard. Anyway, so the first week, I'm going back to the book here, so feel free to follow along in your own primers. The first week on the Kaiser farm passed quickly. On his first free day, Hans went home. The curtains were drawn, and he realized that his parents were out. Or as Heidi Klum would say in her Germanic way, parents war out. He lifted the edge of the doormat and picked up the key. A note on the kitchen table told him that his parents had taken the train to town in order to find work to supplement the family's income. Disappointed, Hans went to his room and put on some clean clothes. The wardrobe smelled of fresh mothballs, which mingled with the soapy smell of the freshly scrubbed floor. This was home, but it was so still and empty that Hans gladly returned to the Kaiser farms. Let's walk through the fields, Sepp suggested. Hans liked that. The springs, this is a big moment coming here. This is very important. I'm getting my finger puppet ready. I know that's not a sick metaphor. Okay, hold it. Here it comes. This is just for you folks following on Facebook. Here we go. Hans liked that, walking through the fields he did. The spring sun seemed to smile down on the village. Chickens! Wah! Turn it that way. Chickens! Wah! Cackled busily under sprouting fruit trees. Ooh, imagine the sproutings there. See, wasn't it worth it to have this chicken ready? I do believe it was. Okay. The house's walls were now neatly stacked with chopped firewood, and bulky chimneys sent puffs of acrid white smoke into the clear blue skies. Oberhausen's old folks sat on benches along the front walls. Yeah, a little stereotyping there, soaking up the warm sunshine and talking about the weather and the prospects for the year's harvests. Sepp and Hans passed the water fountain. That was the one for white Germans, not the Jewish water fountain down the road. Then turned onto a rugged path outside the village. The countryside unfolded before them. Strips of green vegetation, separated by black strips of plowed land, gave the landscape a pleasing patchwork appearance. Behind the fields rose green, fir-covered hills, and in the distance towered the glorious white Alps. And by the way, it's kind of easier to read this than to hear it, because you figure the hills being fir-covered, this weird animalistic vision, though it's FIR, like fir, pine, kind of conifer trees. Just making sure you get all that at home. And by the way, welcome to Bruce and Laura and Gina and Jeff from UNC, my office mate, just in time for high quality literature, Jeff, the Shakespeare expert. So, God must love us very much to give us such a beautiful fatherland, Hans commented as they trudged along. Well, that's some thinking that'll get Germany really far in the years ahead. Sepp nodded. God has given us the finest spot on earth. By the way, oh, this is unbelievable. This is so incredible. This is, we just had kind of a chicken alert as part of the storytelling here, but we also have this coming right now. Oh boy, I'm thrilled. Here we go. By the way, said Sepp, these are our potato fields. Big moment for you here. This is your big cameo, Potato. Make the most of it. Thank you. Thank you. Nice bow, Potato. Very well done. What about the potato fields? Sepp pointed to the freshly plowed fields they were passing. If I remember right, you had wheat, rye, and oats planted in your fields last year. Why are you planting everything to potatoes this year? You mentioned twice. He's famous now. Hans asked as he poked a stick into the ground. The farmer's calendar predicts a good potato harvest this year. Oh, it's a three-bagger. It's time for a potato dance. Potato dancing, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, potato, woo, potato, woo, potato, potato, potato. Okay, that's enough potato. Very well done. Thank you. Okay, and by the way, Jeff cannot stay. He's busy writing. He's working on his dissertation, and he cannot stay to hear more of Hansel and the cow. I'm sorry, Jeff, but you can be entertained next week. Thanks for tuning in briefly to the neighborhood. But we have more to hear about Hans and Sepp and the potato fields. Yeah, okay. I have no life. Let's see. If Papa hadn't leased... Oh, no, here we go. Hans is asking, why are you planting just potatoes this season? The farmer's calendar predicts a good potato harvest this year. My father says we'll be able to buy new cows with the money we get from the sale of our... Okay. Replied Sepp. If Papa hadn't leased his fields to other farmers, he could also plant potatoes, Hans sighed. Why did your father lease his fields, Hansel? We lost our ox team last winter. An idea popped into Hans's head. Do you think your father would let me have some land, Sepp? Sepp's forehead wrinkled. A farmer would rather part with money than with land, I'm afraid. The boys cut across the fields and approached the railroad tracks. The crossbeams were down, and they could hear the train a-comin'. Let's wait for the train, Sepp. My parents may be coming back from town. The boys squatted on a tree stump and waited for the afternoon train to chug up the hill. Hans jumped up and waved. That's me jumping and waving there. Some passengers waved, smiling back at him. This arm represents the passengers waving. Mama, Papa! Hans waved his handkerchief, paying no attention to the green and brown stains on mine. Here we go. Papa rolled down the window and shouted something. Hans could not understand. Mama waved with both hands. Okay, make believe I'm double hand waving here. The train picked up speed and disappeared into the distance. They saw us, Sepp! They saw us! Hans danced for joy. It seemed as if he hadn't seen his parents in years. They surely did, Hans. Sepp headed for the switchman's house near the crossing. Maybe he'll let us look at the levers and bells. Oh, yeah. A middle-aged switchman entertaining two young boys. showing him his liver and his two little bells. Okay, come on, Hans, why are you lagging behind? But that sign on the fence says no entrance. It's like that guy who was shaking the sign earlier in Greeley Crimes at All Times there. Let's cross the tracks then. Did you know that the long stretch beside the tracks also belongs to our farm, Hansel? No, I didn't. Will your father plant potatoes here also? Ah! This is such a big day for you, Potato. This field, will never yield anything better than rocks and thistles, Sepp laughed. Once we were short of bedding straw and made the mistake of mowing it. You know what happened? The cows wouldn't lie down in the stuff because of the thistles, and milk production fell off. Well, what did you do with the bedding straw? We burned it. Grandfather said it would take a miracle to grow a decent crop on this field. Do you sense foreshadowing there, folks? Just then, Sepp dashed off after a rabbit. But Hans was not interested in rabbits just now. A big idea was forming in his mind. Had not the prophet Isaiah said, "The desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose"? I don't know, had he? I didn't know Isaiah. A little before my time, before I came to UNC. I'm assuming he may have said something like, it could be a paraphrase. But anyway, Hans knew that God had power to work miracles. Had he not folded up the Alps and commanded the glaciers to deposit the very soil under Hans's feet? And if Hans is soiling himself under his feet, he has more problems than God can fix. If he prayed real hard, couldn't it be possible that God might work a miracle, turning this worthless patch of land into a good, get ready for it, wait for it, potato field? Ah! Ah! Yay. While Sepp was chasing the rabbit, and that's not a metaphor, Hans prayed, "Dear God in heaven, please look down upon my poor parents and their nearly empty barn. Help me to get this useless field and make potatoes grow." I've never heard potatoes mentioned so many times in a book. Not even the good earth, you know. And I'll do what I can too. I will work hard, I promise, to my father, so my father can buy a healthy young cow with a calf. In Jesus' name, amen. Hans was barely aware of his surroundings. As he stood up, his heart felt light. He had laid his burden in God's hands. He felt sure that God would help him if it was his will. And by the way, here's they haven't. This is foreshadowing. In case I forget to show you this picture later, this is Hans and Sepp talking to Mr. Kaiser, Sepp's dad. So, but I won't tell you exactly what's going to happen with it because that's the upcoming surprise. So let's finish this chapter, shall we? We shall. Hans raised his eyes to the flower-bedecked meadows at the forest's edge. Who else but God could spread out the blue gentians? I guess that's a kind of a flower there. Who else but he told the daisies and anemones to push up their little heads? Surely God would grant him his wish. After a while, Sepp came back from his rabbit chase empty-handed, and the boys started back to the village. On top of a rise before them, the whitewashed church of Oberhausen thrust its spire above the trees and rooftops. A little phallic symbolism there. One room sheltered Hans's parents and their nearly empty barn. "Let's go to my house, Sepp. My parents will be home now. Let's race to the fountain and see who's there first," Sepp suggested and sprinted off. Sepp was a good runner. Hans fell in behind him and almost caught up with him by the time they reached the village fountain. "I won because my legs are longer," panted Sepp as he rested on the fountain's stone curb, grinning. The boys called at Hans's house and ate their fill of large, fresh pretzels Papa had brought from town. Yeah, okay. Then they ran back to the Kaiser farm. "Where have you boys been all afternoon?" Mr. Kaiser frowned as he peered over his newspaper. Now we got it. There's the picture. Here we go. There's old Mr. Kaiser. He sure looks like a barrel of fun, doesn't he? Yeah, there he is. Okay. What a nose on that guy. Let's see. "We went to the railroad tracks," Sepp replied, offering his father a pretzel. "We saw your field, the one that grows thistles," Hans added, putting his pretzels into the breadbasket. So? Well, Hans said, I would like to plant, get ready for it, potatoes there! Yay! Would you let me have the field this year instead of wages? Hans stammered. What? That rock pile? Mr. Kazer's bushy eyebrows arched in unbelief. That field is worthless, Hansel. You'd be cheating yourself out of your wages. I won't let you do that. Mr. Kazer folded his newspaper as though that settled the matter. That's him folding his newspaper as we fold up another installment of A Cow for Hansel here on the Dave's Gone By radio program of the stream. Oh, and my friend, my colleague at UNC, Jeff, was writing in. He said, unfortunately, he could not stay for the story, but he did message me to say that he just discovered and learned about Potato Day in Greeley. I don't know, I could have told him that the first day we met. I could have mentioned that I'm actually physically, there's a picture of me in an old issue of the Greeley Tribune, bedecked and bestrewn with potatoes. I mean, all they had to do was ask. But yes, Jeff, there is a Potato Day. It happens every September, and hopefully it won't fall out on, no, Yom Kippur is in the middle of the week this week, so that's not a problem. Hopefully the weather will hold up, and there will be yet another Potato Day in Greeley, Colorado. And he says, I will keep an eye out for them. Get it? Yeah, because potatoes, they have lots of eyes. They've got, these eyes, and then this eye here and that eye there. See? Keep an eye out for them. That's just too terrific. Ladies and gentlemen, that was our story for the day. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Went downtime on that. Story time, A Cow for Hansel.
Tell me a story, tell me a story, tell me a story, remember what you said. You promised me you said you would, you gotta give in so I'll be good. Tell me a story, then I'll go to bed.
Yes, indeed, some storytelling, some story time here on Dave's Gone By, where it is about 10 to noon Mountain Time here in the neighborhood in Greeley, Colorado on this Saturday morning, May 12th, 2018. It's our 650th episode. We've been calling it Astral Weekend in honor of our guest in the neighborhood, Richard Davis. So great to have him discussing music and his life and those. God, I wish I had another hour to hear some more risque stories about all the jazz people that he knew. Maybe next year, maybe when there's been more pedestrian traffic on Richard Davis Point Lane, or what was it called? It was Richard Davis. Do I have it here? I'll get there. Richard Davis Street between Webb Avenue and Darbo Drive in Madison, Wisconsin. So we now consider Richard Davis a friend, of the neighborhood, which means he has been on the program. He's honored us with his presence, and we're proud of the folks that we've had on this program. So we might have an actor on when he's on or off Broadway, or she is, and then years pass, and they do other things. They're in other shows. They record albums or CDs or DVDs. They make movies. They write books. They do other things. They get on with their lives and do more great stuff. So we like to keep tabs on them, since we think of them in a way as kind of family. And in that spirit, we share every week the friends of the neighborhood. There's a little bit of Haydn music, which you can seek out, which I guess makes it Haydn Go Seek music. Okay, anywho, some friends of the neighborhood. We mentioned earlier in the show during Inside Broadway that our recent friend David Cale won 2 big awards this past week. He won the Lucille Ortel Award for writing the play Harry Clark. And also, what's that other one that he won? It was the Outer Critics Circle Award for Best Solo Show. So a double mazel tov to David Cale for Harry Clark. And actually, the Nortel Awards that the show won were two of them, Best Solo and Best Lighting Design. So congrats on that. There's a very cool piece by our other friend, another theater friend and a playwright, Jeffrey Sweet. He wrote an article for American Theater Magazine. It may not be in the hard copy, it may just be for the website, americantheater.org. But it's about the house of Viola Spolin being for sale in Chicago. Now, Viola Spolin, she is considered the godmother, the matriarch of improvisational theater. So she and her son, Paul Sills, they concocted story games and story theater, and also just the rules and the games of improvisation. There wouldn't be a Whose Line Is It Anyway? There wouldn't be a Chicago City Limits. There wouldn't be a Groundlings, I guess, without Viola Spolin and her son Paul Sills. Okay, so Viola Spolin's house is for sale, and they're trying to figure out a way. Can they landmark it? Can they make sure that it's bought by cool people who understand the importance of what began there to American comedy and the American theater? So that's what the article is about. It's an americantheater.org, and it's written by our friend Jeffrey Sweet. So you can go and read that this week. Also, I want to let you know that tonight, Alice Ripley is playing at Feinstein's 54 Below. Alice Ripley, the Tony winner for Next to Normal. And also, speaking of theater musical people, in the same club, on the same night, but obviously not at the same time, Linda Eder is going to be at Feinstein's at 54 Below. Then also tonight, if you happen to be in Bardonia, New York, that's up in Rockland County, you can see Neil Berg's 100 Years of Broadway. That's taking place at Magnus High School. He just takes that in every possible city, town, burg, or hamlet. I'll bet at some point, Neil Berg will come to Antonito, Colorado, with 100 Years of Broadway. It's a fun show. He brought it to Greeley about 2 years ago, and that's when we had him on the program. Now through tomorrow is your last chance to catch the off-Broadway production of Babette's Feast. It's directed by our friend, longtime friend, Karen Coonrod, off-Broadway at the theater at St. Clement's on West 46th Street. We want to let you know also that tomorrow is the closing date for the play Judas, an old play by our new friend Robert Patrick. Is being done by the Phoenix Ensemble at the Wild Project. That's a theater over on East 3rd Street in Manhattan. It got an absolute basically a rave review in theaterscene.net. They called it a dynamic revival with strong performances, and it features music and sound design by another friend of the neighborhood, Ellen Mandel. So a big shout out to her as well. Tomorrow, it's Broadway Unlocked. This is a benefit that raises money for crime victims, people in the theater district and Broadway, people who are victims of crimes. Among the people performing at the concert will be our musical theater friends Marcy Heisler and Zena Goldrich. It's taking place at WNYC's Green Space on Charlton Street. I don't even know where Charlton Street is. Got to be a downtown thing. And then on Monday, our friend Alan Lewis Rickman, he is directing, and he has also translated from the Yiddish, a feminist drama by Paula Priltsky called One of Those. It's one of these lost Yiddish plays that only people like Alan Lewis Rickman are paying attention to and bringing back and translating. So it's a one-day reading of the drama that they're doing at YIVO on West 16th Street in Manhattan this Monday. Now, running through next weekend, Tonya Pinkins is directing the musical Bring It On at the Black Spectrum Theater, that is in Queens, and running also through May 21st, so that goes a little beyond next weekend. Penny Fuller is among the cast of a play called Women on Fire. This is stories of anonymous women. Okay, I don't have that much information on it, but it's at the Royal Family Performing Arts Space on West 46th Street, a relatively new production space in Midtown Manhattan. Running now through early June, Jenny O'Hara is featured in the play Bump at Ensemble Studio Theater. Running through the end of July, there's the musical Goldstein with Megan McGinnis that is taking place at the Actors Temple Theater in Midtown. And then through July 1st, it's, you have until then to see on Broadway The Iceman Cometh. Of course, that stars Denzel Washington, but it features our friend of the neighborhood, Dakin Matthews, playing Piet. And some other Broadway stuff. The Band's Visit, which I loved, has a score by David Yazbek, and you can see that at the Barrymore Theater on Broadway. School of Rock, which I love, but I liked a whole lot. That is at the Winter Garden Theater and features lyrics by our friend Glenn Slater. Reminding you that La Chance is going to be in, or she's in, something that is turning into a sleeper hit. Despite critics naysaying and knocking the book and wishing it were better, people are buying tickets to the Donna Summer musical. It's called Summer at the L'Enfant Theater, and she's gotten wonderful reviews and lots of award nominations. So congratulations to our friend LaChance. And Daniel Breaker, who was on one of our Tony Awards broadcasts a few years ago, he is playing Aaron Burr in Hamilton, if you can even try and get to see that at the Richard Rogers Theater. Moving away from the theater to cabaret, remember that Jim Caruso's Cast Party is every Monday night at Birdland, and it's a party every night at Don't Tell Mama, which is run by our friend from last week, Sydney Meyer. Letting you know that Evan Seplow is the founder of StageBuddy.com, a wonderful website for New York nightlife and what to do in the theater on a particular New York evening. Dr. Demento still doing Dr. Demento shows at drdemento.com. Shout out to Eva Heineman of the theater review program on Manhattan Neighborhood Network High Drama, and to Charlie Gross and Leslie Hobang Blake, who also host a theater review show on MNN. You can watch them live streaming on mnn.org. Their show is called Two on the Aisle. And what else? Do I have anybody else to give shout outs to? Well, make sure to read Phil Mushnick's sports column in the New York Post. Make sure to listen to Gil Moon hosting Senior Circle on Sunday mornings and Golden Years Theater on Sunday evenings. They're both on KFKA radio here in Greeley, Colorado. Oh, any other friends, man? So many. I'm actually leaving out folks. But how can I not mention, of course, our great friend Bob Cudmore doing podcasts about upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. And those, my friends, are the friends of the neighborhood. And we are coming right up on noon here, Mountain Time, on UNC Radio, on the Dave's Gone By radio program of the stream. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. It's our 650th episode of the program, and we are not quite finished yet. I know, it's a 3-hour show. We're here every Saturday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time to noon or thereabouts. We're now approaching the thereabouts portion of the program because we still have Dave's Big Dictionary to go. So, 74,000 potential definitions in here. So I'm going to be talking about the word that my wife chose earlier before the show began. She at random picked a word. We'll tell you what that word is, and then I'll talk about it for just a little bit. But while I get my head together on that, we also have our Saturday segue of songs in the news. These are songs that I choose to play because they have something to do with stuff that's been going on in the news and current events. Your job, essentially, is to enjoy the song, but also listen and wonder, why is Dave playing that song specifically this week? Is it the title? Is it the artist? Is it the theme of the song as a whole? Got it? Got it. So we call it our Saturday segue of songs in the news, and we start with, let's see, what can I tell you about it without giving the game away? Well, you'll recognize the voice quite instantly. So, you know what? I'll just start playing it. Okay, so this is a very difficult segment now to do on Facebook, because if I play too much of a song, as I've said, Facebook will stop, and then I have to reload it, and I lose half the listeners here. So I'm going to try and get it done, but if I lose you, don't go away. It just means I've got to stop my Facebook, reboot it, reload it, and we're still here. We're still doing the show. Okay, now let's see if you can play along if I play just enough of this.
You can train me, you can drain me, if you make me lose control. I will be your prisoner, I will be your hostage.
Hint, hint. Clue there. Big clue. Again, I've got to pot down the music for a bit so I don't lose Facebook. Sorry. Complain to ASCAP. And if you've ever had an ASCAP, you know how painful that can be.
I'll be happy to say yes. I'll put on the creepy mask if you grant me some.
Okay, let's pot that down before Facebook gets mad at me.
You can chain me to the floor. I will be your prisoner. I will be your hostage.
Okay, basically throws it right out there at us. Of course, you can tell from the voice immediately that's Warren Zevon from his latter album Life'll Kill Ya. It sure did him, unfortunately. But a song called Hostage O, like Pretty Peggy-O. His song is I Will Be Your Hostage O. And we play that because Donald Trump did something right this week. That deserves an ooga horn, doesn't it? In fact, he got 3 things right. Tony Kim Hak Song, and Kim Dong Chul. Do those names ring a bell? Well, if they don't, they'll have plenty of time to tell you about themselves because they're alive. And they seem reasonably well. These are the men who were rescued from North Korea. They were hostages. They were essentially in the horrible, horrible work camps in North Korea. But they were better treated, and they came off a plane. Donald Trump, in a perfect photo op, was there to greet them. And of course, this is North Korea trying to make nice, we assume, before a big meeting with Donald Trump. Mike Pompeo was laying the groundwork for this hostage release for these 3 guys. And, it's kind of funny. And Fox News did tag the left-wing media on this when the New York Times wrote an article. I was like, with all these things going on, where's Mike Pompeo? Why is he vanished? And it turned out, well, he was there securing the release of 3 American men. So, yay him. And yeah, again, will never be a Donald Trump supporter for reals, but on this, so far, so good. I mean, because let's not forget, let's remember what happened to Otto Warmbier, 22-year-old man, months ago, also got mixed up, wandered into North Korea, took a souvenir, and was put in a labor camp, and they sent him home too. We got him out, and he lived for a week and a half. To me, that was an act of war. They murdered an American citizen for no reason. And, I could, you don't want to start a nuclear war, but I could have actually foreseen or seen an angry America looking at that and going, oh no, oh hell no. But cooler heads kind of prevailed, and now we'll see. We got these 3 hostages out of North Korea. There's talks. Whether you believe Kim Jong-un, just the way we can't believe Iran either, will listen and say, hey, okay, we proved that we can make nuclear weapons. Now we don't have to have them. When we showed that we can put rockets up in the air with missiles on their tips, we did it. And now, because we did it, we can say, okay, now we're a superpower. deal with us on this level rather than this level, but we're willing to make peace. We don't want to blow up the world. Kim Jong-un is this crazy, but he's not this crazy. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's hope. And let's never forgive them for Otto Warmbier. We're never going to be friends. And we also have to keep an eye to make sure that they don't unify. You know, when East and West Germany got unified, it was unified in a Western way. If the idea here is to unify North and South Korea, let's pray that it unifies in a South Korean way. Let's hope. We'll see. Anyway, that's why we play Hostage-O by Warren Zevon from Life Will Kill Ya. And now, I used to do a segment on this program a couple of years ago called The Wretched Pun of Destiny. Maybe it was a precursor of Colorado Limericks of the Damned, where every week we would do a pun that was just egregious. And in fact, even before that, in the early years of the show, I just remembered this, we would do a bad pun of the week. So puns do lie close to my heart. They may be the lowest form of humor, but they still are a form of humor. Get ready for a few of them, among other types of humor, satirical and political, in this piece from the Capitol Steps.
I'm a private detective. My mother named me Hugh. My father called me Jim. My last name is Bissell, so people just call me Hugh Jim Bissell.
That would be one of the puns that I was talking about.
The recession hit me hard. I mean, I've been working less than the West Virginia Tooth Fairy. Job prospects were colder than Ann Coulter stamping passports at the Mexican border. Well, I got home late one night last week and I was dead tired. I hit the couch like a Letterman intern looking for a raise.
And again, I'm going to let this one play through on the radio. Apologies to my my Facebook listeners, but hang with me. Just this will actually go on for about 3.5 more minutes. I'll pot it up a little bit so you can hopefully get the gist of why we're playing this on Dave's Gone By and as part of our Saturday Segue of Songs in the News.
I'm now being told the correct pronunciation is Ahmadinejad. So the recent incumbent I'm now being told I have nothing in my ear. Anyway, the incumbent president had been challenged by the challenger, a guy by the name of Hussein Mousavi. And the campaign had gotten pretty nasty, too, let me tell you. I mean, at one point, a bunch of Iranian army veterans even got together and said that they had served with Mousavi on a swift goat. Yeah, that was a bad joke.
I did warn you about the puns. Yeah, I did. Don't say I didn't. Say goodnight, octopus. Good night, octopus.
A number of election discrepancies. Like, for example, over 1 million paper ballots have been counted in less than an hour. Secondly, a really popular candidate who was riding a wave of momentum suddenly loses in a landslide. And that same popular candidate loses on his own home turf. Now, come on, that's no way for a civilized nation to run an election. I mean, Florida, maybe. You know. It smelled like election fraud to me. So I figured the best way to get to the bottom of this was go and talk face-to-face to President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad himself.
Last bite of cookie. Good cookie.
Good thing for him, because that's all they got. Yeah, well, he was a pretty level-headed guy, as it turns out. Although when it came to the election, you can imagine he was pretty upset. Although, not as it turns out, because he really wanted to be president. No, he was just worried that if he conceded the election, everyone was going to expect him to put on a lot of weight and make a documentary about global warming. Well, it was starting to look like we'd never figure out a way to get rid of Ahmadinejad. And that's when it struck me. If I could only get NBC to offer him the 11:30 spot, he'd be gone in 7 months.
A bit there from the Capitol Steps and their album Liberal Shop of Horrors from 2010. Now, that was a detective story, the Iranian Candidate. That was the actual title of that, because they're making fun of Ahmadinejad, or they call him Ahmadinejad. So why would I play a detective story, the Iranian, wink, wink, hint, hint, candidate, this week? Well, Iran is certainly in the news as we speak. First of all, after rockets came into the Golan Heights in Israel from Iranian soldiers of the, militia inside Syria, Israel pounded back on those Iranian targets in Syria. So everything's escalating over there. Gee, the Middle East, a powder keg, you think? And Israel, kind of as usual, helping America. Just, people wonder why the hell the United States gives billions of dollars to Israel. It's for things like this. It's because Israel is right there looking at Iran and Libya and Lebanon and Syria and Saudi Arabia and Iraq and going, okay, we're monitoring stuff. And when things get unpleasant, we're going to bomb them, or at least we'll notify the United States, and the United States can take action. And Israel has said to Iran repeatedly, look, if you're using Syria as a base for your operations to hurt us, we're going to hurt you back. Worse. And that's kind of the idea. And it's funny that Syria, of all people, the people who are using poison gas on their own citizens are saying, oh, they're washing their hands of Iran. And they're saying, well, we know that we have some Iranian soldiers on our land, but we're not really quite sure what they're doing there. They're just stationed there, and if they send up some rockets and missiles, it's on them. It's not us. So, of course, this whole thing is a potential powder keg, especially since this is all happening, these attacks and the counterattacks happened just 2 days after Donald Trump backed out of the Iranian deal that Obama made a few years ago, that Congress never ratified, but the president went ahead and did anyway. A deal that probably is really bad, but at the same time, if you can't be trusted to stay in a deal that you have made, how can you be trusted at all? It's sort of like, if if Hans buys a cow and the guy tells him, well, there's going to be 15 kroner for this cow. It's not the best cow in the world, but it'll give you milk. It'll do what you need, and you can eat it. And then he realizes that every other place, if they'd just gone 10 miles further out of town, they could have gotten an even better cow for only 6 kroner. Well, bad deal. But Hans can't go back to the guy and say, you know what, here's a cow back, give me my money back. I can get 2 cows for what I paid you. No, a deal's a deal. You stay in even if the deal sucks. Not in Donald Trump's world. The man who knows the art of the deal apparently knows just as much about the art of breaking a contract and an agreement and a deal. Now, we can say that Iran hasn't been holding up its end, and that Iran, even if it hasn't been building up its nuclear arsenal, which was part of the agreement that they would stop making and developing nukes, but there was nothing said about conventional weapons and missiles and bombs and shit like that. So Iran concentrated on its other weaponry that it's been downloading into Israel. Wonderful. So still, it's different to say to Iran, hey, you're breaking the agreement. If you keep doing that, Israel's going to kick your ass and we'll fund Israel to do that, as opposed to saying, crappy agreement, we don't like it, shouldn't have made it, Obama's not president anymore, so therefore it doesn't count. We're going to welch on our bet with you. Who knows where the hell all this is going. And just to throw in another element of this whole powder keg, let's not forget that I think Monday is the day, and I think this is a wonderful thing, Monday is the day that Jerusalem officially, at least according to the United States, becomes the capital of Israel. Always has been, always should have been, it is, but physically opening the embassy there and literally making it the official capital of Israel, that has just stirred up a hornet's nest on top of everything else with all the Arab world and the Palestinians. There's been protests going on for weeks now. It's getting nastier, more violent. About 50 Arabs have been killed. A couple hundred of them have been injured. And there are times that even and I've said this even on the last program, there is no stronger pro-Israel Zionist than this person right here, than I am. And even I was looking askance at some of the response that Israel had to protesters over the past few weeks when they shot that guy with the press logo across his shirt. And some, I mean, it was just like, whoa. I support Netanyahu. I back him. I believe in an incredibly strong Israel, and that Israel, and Rabbi Saul will back me up on this too, that Israel is for Jews, and if the Arabs don't like it, they've got a million other countries they can go live in. Leave Israel alone. If you don't like it, leave. If you feel like you're being treated as a second-class citizen, if you're in Gaza or any land that is owned by Israel or won by Israel in a legitimate war in 1967 or 73, go elsewhere. If the other Arab countries will take you, but they won't, your Arab brethren who love you so much but won't give you a speck of land to live on, okay, well, you don't want to be in Israel, you're not treated right, get the hell out. It's not your country. And this is harsh, and I am liberal in so many other things, and my liberal friends can't understand how I can be so strongly Zionistic on this. But that's how I am. That's how I was raised, and it's what I believe. Jews have this little bitty country. Arabs have gazillion acres and miles of land, hectares, or whatever they measure land in over there. But even that said, if you're having semi-peaceful protests, the way to respond to that is tear gas, rubber bullets, hurting people up, keeping them overnight, exiling, whatever. But in terms of actual having to use live ammunition against rocks and bottles, I don't know. That has bothered me, continues to bother me. And we're just going to see a lot more of that over the next few days. It's going to be a really interesting powder keg over there, as if it's same as it ever was, as David Byrne has said. But that's why we played the Capitol Steps with a detective story, the Iranian Candidate from 2010, their album Liberal Shop of Horrors, because Iran right in the center of things. So we will see how things shake out. Well, let's not play a happier song, but let's take things to a potentially more positive note with this little number.
Now you're finally clean. You've been strip searching for black lights that were strung out. The drugs have got nothing on me.
Okay, again, apologies to our Facebook listeners. Gotta pop the music down just to save our stream there. This song runs about 3 minutes, so just hang with me. In the there's something to be said for silence, especially when you've been listening to me for 3 hours, right? Oh, plus I do have a little bit more cookie here. I have some. Oh, and look at this. We even have a phone call. Dave's gotten by. You're live on Facebook.
Hi, David. I'd like to leave the speaker on so I can hear you talking, okay?
Oh, are we still not streaming?
Yeah, no. Let me try it again. I didn't get it.
Oh, that's weird. We should be.
Let me try it.
Yeah, please do. That, by the way, is the voice of my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, who was with us in the first part of the program. Because, I thought I fixed the stream about 20 minutes ago. You should be hearing music.
I don't hear it.
You're kidding.
But it might be. It might be my. Let's see. See, it's playing other stuff. It just won't play the stream for me.
Well, that's weird. Oh, yeah. Our nice cast is retrying, and maybe I got to do this again. Oh, good thing you called while there's music playing. I can try and get this going again.
Yeah, I don't know. I might be doing something wrong.
No. I'm getting a nice cast issue. So let's see if that'll do it.
It's a not so nice cast.
Ha. Yeah. Now I'm going to get back to UNC guest. I'll probably have to relog in. Let's see how we're doing. Yeah. Okay. And now let's see if our nice cast picked that up again. Hold on. I gotta open that. Isn't this the fun part of the show for my Facebook listeners? Here we go. Come on, nice cast, open up. Error connection failed. Why? What's wrong with nice cast?
Can you leave on the speaker so I could just hear you talking? I want to leave you on the phone.
Yeah. No harm in that.
Okay.
It's just, but we will hear any speaking that you do. If anybody
No,
comes
I'm
through.
I'm gonna mute myself.
Oh, yep, there you go. Okay.
Listen, so now you hear me?
Now I don't. This is so cool. Isn't technology wonderful, folks? All right, we're playing Rilo Kiley, by the way, finishing up the song. Terrific song there from a band called Rilo Kiley on Dave's Gone By, part of our Saturday Segue of songs in the news, a song called All the Drugs from their Archives compilation album. Playing that because big, again, hopefully, I don't know if I want to say happy news, but exciting news for the Trump team and Donald Trump. He makes a big speech yesterday saying that he's going to tackle high prescription drug prices, that it's time, that people have been just paying through the nose, they've been yanked around, they've been blackmailed, the cost of drugs is insane. It's all true. And he says the time has come for that to stop, which is also true. And he promises to stop it. He doesn't say how. He has absolutely no plan outlined. He said a plan is coming. Some ideas are going to happen. He doesn't mention whether Medicaid will have any part of it. And of course, he hasn't mentioned that his election campaign and his lawyer got tons and tons of money from Novartis, which is apparently one of the big drug company makers, so that the things that Trump was saying 2 years ago about how to stop the high price of drugs are kind of different from what he was saying yesterday, where he's saying naughty drug companies, evil, bad, and we're going to do something. We're going to bring those prices down somehow. Mainly, what people are saying is that he's attacking other places like Mexico, always Mexico, and places where people get drugs much cheaper. So what'll happen is probably the drugs will just get more expensive overseas and across into other countries, so that ours will be our drugs will seem more reasonably priced by comparison without actually getting any lower. How cool is that? So yeah, that was why we played the Riley Kiley song, "All the Drugs," from the Archives album. We'll see. You know, Donald Trump does go into a lot of things with the best of intentions. I honestly believe that, whether it was healthcare. I'm not so sure about the whole border and the wall situation. There's some racism involved in that. But he does want a safer America. And he wants some, you know, his opioid thing has been a thing since he took office. So he has best of intentions, honestly, on that. Maybe he really wants to lower drug prices. And if he does that, well, maybe that would be the cure to what's been wrong with Obamacare and into the next level of whatever health care will be. It remains to be seen. Okay, we got one more song in the neighborhood for our Saturday segue of songs in the news. Okay, so yeah, we've been talking about hostages. Actually, that was a happy ending. And Iran, not such happy times. And then potentially happy news with drugs. This one is purely happy, good, something about this week. Something you need to keep in mind for the next 24 to 48 hours. Here's Richie Havens.
Oh, your little mama in your farm, she is heaven and she's almost gone.
Okay, again, sorry to turn down the music for our Facebook folks, but got a song playing obviously on the regular radio program, and that's about 2 more minutes of it. But you, if you're playing the game, you heard what the song is about. Here's a little more of it.
Daddy love you, daddy love you, daddy love you. Oh, your little daddy, in your farm, he is heaven and he's almost gone. Daddy love you, daddy love you, daddy love you, daddy love you.
Yeah, for some reason, Nicecast is not being nice to us. There's no particular reason, because we are. I'm opening Google Chrome to see if I have. Oh, now it says we're on air again. We will see. See if we can get, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, our internet's working. It's just our Nicecast doesn't seem to want to necessarily stream too well. I apologize for that. But it shouldn't be affecting Facebook, actually, which is hearing this Richie Havens song. Well, yeah, we love you too, Richie Havens, the late Richie Havens there, with a song from his 1973 record, Portfolio, on our Saturday segue of songs in the news. Portfolio, what does that have to do with anything, or the song Mama loves you. Mama loves. So if you haven't bought that card yet, if you hadn't gotten the gift, the flowers, the chocolates, the vacuum cleaner, the vibrator, this is your last few hours to go show Mama your appreciation, because tomorrow, May 13th, is Mother's Day. Do you know that Mother's Day was started back in 1908 by a woman named Anna Jarvis. Her mom had died a couple of years earlier, and she spent a couple of years trying to make a day to honor moms, to honor mothers, and she did. So they ended up creating in 1908 Mother's Day, and it's become a thing. And since then, of course, there's Father's Day, there's Grandparents' Day, there's probably Grandchildren's Day, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Campbell's Soup Kitchen Employee Day, you name it. But we still got our Mother's Day. It's that Sunday in May. It's tomorrow. So, of course, big love and joy to my mom, and of course to all you moms out there. Well, it is 12. Oh my God, it's 12:30 already in the neighborhood on Dave's Gone By. Been having so much fun doing this radio program of the stream. Almost completed here. Almost done with the show, but we still have a bit more. One more segment to do for you. As we mentioned at the top of the show, my wife kindly assisted me with this. Before the show began, she went through this dictionary, randomly found a word for a segment that we like to call Dave's Big Dictionary.
Extra, tell all about it. It's Dave's Big Dictionary.
Dave's Big Dictionary, it is here on the Dave's Gone By radio program of the stream. The idea is, since I've been talking more on the program, playing less music so that I don't get muted or deleted on YouTube, or I don't have my Facebook go down, which, knock wood, hasn't yet today. Amazing. I know I've just done a kanina on this, but still, the talking helps. So this idea of turning it even more into a talk show than it was before. And what do I want to talk about? I don't have time during the week to pre-write a bunch of comedy bits. And it's also, having done the show for 15 years, the show, yes, it's great that we have amazing guests on the show like Richard Davis or Sidney Meyer last week, or famous folks like Charlotte Ray and Linda Lavin and Christine Lavin, Judy Collins, etc. But ultimately, when a show's been on long enough, it almost becomes more about the host than anything else. The Tonight Show was about Johnny Carson. David Letterman became about Letterman rather than any particular guest. So I guess at this point, this show is about me. So I use the segment extemporaneously to kind of talk about my life, and one impetus, one road into that convoluted path is through a word in the dictionary that my wife randomly picks every time we do this segment. Well, the word that she picked for this Saturday, May 12th, 2018, is hue. H-U-E, hue. The noun form means a gradation of color, or an attribute of colors that permits them to be classified as red, yellow, green, blue, or some color in between them. Cyan, whatever the hell cyan is, or magenta, which has a Rocky Horror connotation to it. It's and you can use it in the adjective form hued, a brightly hued blanket, for example. So that's my word. I've got to think about how I'm going to talk about or use the word hue in terms of my life, my thoughts, my anecdotes, or what have you. I thought this would be easier than it turned out to be. I guess I don't live a particularly colorful life, which is really the truth. So what stories can I tell about color? Well, one of them is kind of amusing. It has to do with my late uncle, Lester. And if I forget any aspect of this or I get something wrong, my wife is listening, I know, to the show, so she can chime in because she knows the story too. But the real fun part of my wonderful Uncle Lester, who was married to my Aunt Bonnie, who's still very much alive and well, is that he was called up for service in the United States. I guess it was the Army. He was a regular Army person during the Vietnam War. And so he served there in I guess it would have been the late 60s, early 1970s. He served honorably, and he saw, unfortunately, some action. And in fact, I thoroughly believe that he was exposed to chemicals there that contributed to a blood disease that killed him about 20, 30 years later. No one can prove this, I don't know, whatever, but somewhere out of nowhere, in a way that was not genetic, he came down with something, and I thoroughly believe he caught it in Vietnam and caught it from whatever shit we were spraying on trees there in the rice paddies of Da Nang. Okay, but the funnier, the happier part of that story is that my Uncle Les, he always wore glasses, he did not have the best vision, and he was colorblind, which meant he couldn't tell, I guess, red from blue or blue from green or red from green, whatever color blindness denotes, which should keep you out of the military, or at least it did back then, because they need you. if you're defusing a bomb and they're telling you, well, you need to unpluck the green wire and don't touch the red one, you kind of need to know which wire you're unplucking. So he goes up for the physical and the exam and tells him, hey, I'm colorblind. And they didn't care. They took him. And the fun part was, I forget whether he was a driver or if he was, whatever he was doing, it actually had to do. This is military intelligence for you. Is why George Carlin called it an oxymoron. But they had him doing stuff in the Army where color was a factor, where he actually had to decide whether something, it had to do with lights or things he was putting together, where it mattered whether this was blue or red, or this was green or purple or yellow, and yet he somehow managed. Because I guess you get, if you don't see the actual color, maybe there's a saturation of how gray something is versus how lighter it is. So that's kind of my first part of using hue of my uncle, who could not see hues and yet was thrown into a situation where he should have been able to. Kind of fun, amazing, true kind of story. I don't know what the other thing I would talk about that, except is that I'm reminded forever of how useless I am when it comes to certain sciences, notably physics, which I should have failed in high school, except the professor curved all of us. If he hadn't, I think half the class would have failed. Should have taken AP history, should have taken another language, and it brought my high school GPA down. I couldn't get it. I couldn't handle the word problems. I couldn't put the things together. Just didn't know one bit about it. I think maybe 20% of the curriculum stayed with me and resonated with me, and then I figured out and got in physics when I took it in high school. Could not latch my mind around it. Could not even a year later, when I was in high school, when I was in college at NYU, and we were all forced to take a math or a science. And I thought, hey, I've already taken a physics. I sucked at it, but I passed. Now I'll take another physics course. It's just half a year instead of a full year. Most of it will be stuff I've already studied. Maybe I'll get through it. And I didn't want to take higher maths in terms of geometry. I'm useless also. Anything spatial relations, angles. I loved algebra, and trig was okay. Although the trig part was shapes, not so much. Word problem, not so much. But better physics than that. And at NYU, they designed a specific course for all us artsy-fartsy people who were going to go on to be the next Scorsese, the next Paul Mazursky, Woody Allen, Orson Welles. It was called Light and Color in Nature and Art. And so it was specifically for people to learn about lenses and the way, if you use this kind of film stock and what color looks like in certain lights and using gels and also how light works. It was theoretical as well as, to some extent, practical. It was a sensible kind of physics course for people in the arts. And again, everybody would have failed. Half the class would have failed if the professor hadn't curved. But since I already knew some stuff going in, and there was also more stuff with cool lasers and things, there I think I got a 70-something instead of the 65 that I got in high school. But the point was, even then, whether it was in high school, whether it was a year later in college, when it came to stuff about colors and prisms and the way the addition and subtraction and the way colors work, and on the spectrum from yellow and green and ultraviolet and minus, if you combine this color with that color, it takes another color out, and here's the percentage of color that it's removed. I'm like, yeah, you know, black is the absence of color, white is all colors. Okay, get that. Anything in between that is mathematical, gone. So you figure I would get a little bit smarter as the years passed. I was still a kid. I was in my early 20s, or no, well, late teens actually, going to NYU and trying to suss all this color stuff out. Never had to think about it. I didn't really get into film, unfortunately. I did not become the next, well, I always wanted to be, there was never a problem for 30 years when I said I wanted to be the next Woody Allen. Now, if I want to say I wanted to be the next Woody Allen, people will look at me and it's like, oh, really? So you like 10-year-old daughters? I'm like, okay, no, maybe not the next Woody Allen, maybe the next Bergman, okay? The next, I'm not that big a fan of Truffaut. The next Wes Anderson, what have you. So I'm taking a master's degree here at UNC because, I get free tuition because my wife's a professor here, blah, blah, blah. And I'm taking theater courses. It's theater education. And part of that is also about producing theater. So here you go. There's the plastics of theater. There's design, and there's costuming, and there's lighting. And we have a professor. And once again, he's holding up colored wheels, showing us, like, this is minus 45, and you put this gel in front of this gel, and you notice how then you get this color, because if you subtract this from this, you get, and I'm literally, now I'm in my mid to late 40s, and I'm even dumber than I was in my late teens. I'm literally praying that there's no actual test on this, and that I never have to explain it to any teenagers that I have to teach. If I ever teach a theater course in design, if I ever have to direct, I'll leave somebody else to do the gels and the lighting pattern. Because if I want to do that, I'll take a lamp, I'll take some gels, I'll go foop, foop, I look, and I'll see, oh, that's okay. I like the way this looks. Let's dim that when we get to this line, and I'm good. I don't need to know the theory. I don't want to know. We talked, Hansel talked about God before. Let God deal with the theory of color and hue. Leave me out of it. Just let me look and appreciate it. If there's a certain ratio of color frequencies and waves and vibrations going into my eyeballs that make me see and perceive color a certain way that may actually be different from the way somebody else, that's fascinating. I don't give a shit. It's just, let the color be there. Let me enjoy it. I'll stay with the color, and the math can stay with hue. Get it? Little pun there. Hue, H-U-E. Okay, you get it. Anyway, speaking of nature and well, not so much art, but certainly nature. Let's take a look at the weather here in Greeley, Colorado for the next few days. Let's see if I can see the chart here. Well, looks like we've gotten through most of the rain for today. It's not going to get terribly warm out, but it'll be in the mid-60s, cloudy, patches of rain all day, but it doesn't look terribly rainy out now. And then tomorrow looks like a literal carbon copy of today, about 40% chance of rain, lots of clouds out there. And again, high in the mid-60s, low getting up to about 50. And Monday, kind of even worse. Monday is going to be really the rainiest, stormiest day, even thunderstorms happening. More clouds, little bit warmer, might just get to 70 degrees. And then Tuesday, hey, guess what? Still more chances of rain, still more potential thunderstorms, but then clearing apparently by Tuesday afternoon, and also getting kind of warm into the mid-70s on Tuesday. Finally, a dry day, mostly, if not completely, on Wednesday, high in the mid-70s. Thursday, we actually crank it up, mix of sun and clouds to 81 degrees. Friday, back down to 72, but still dry. And then a week from today, a carbon copy of today. High in the mid-60s, clouds, and you got it, rain. Oh, well, go figure. So there will be patches, of course, of sunshine, and when it's not too sunny and low 60 degrees-ish with clouds, but no rain, that's actually perfect weather. It's just when it gets a little wet and drizzly that you don't really want to be out in it. But I've been in it, whatever that means, doing this Dave's Gone By radio program for ya all, and having an absolute blast on this Saturday, May 12th, 2018. It has been the Astral weekend version of the show, which means, again, we're going to give one more shout out to our special guest, Richard Davis. Be sure to check out his albums, man. We played some Van Morrison music and some Bruce Springsteen music, because that's how I know about him and how I know he's so special. But those of you who really dig jazz, especially of the 60s and 70s, go suss out his work and playing with people like Elvin Jones and record albums on his own. Richard Davis, he's a major dude. And go, if you're listening, if you're Art Paul or other people in Madison, Wisconsin, go walk on the street. Go walk on Richard Davis Street. It's, the idea of it is so totally cool. So we thank him once more for being in the neighborhood. Got to thank my wonderful, darling, and adorable wife, Joyce, especially because I know she's physically listening over her telephone as we speak. I've got to apologize to all of you who've been trying to listen on the radio. Our Nicecast started bombing out on us for the past hour or so. I don't know why. Could be just one of those UNC things, but I apologize. Thank you to all the folks who are still keeping this radio station here at UNC going for however much longer. Again, I've said, even if this station goes, we'll still be doing our show. We'll still be online. We'll still figure out a way to do a radio program as well, of course, as our Facebook broadcast. And really, thank you so much to all the folks who tune in on Facebook, who enjoy the show, who send messages, who clue in your Facebook friends to listen and follow the show. And please do that. And remember that where you have us as a like or a follow on Facebook, you can also have See Us First. And all that means is whenever we post something or we go live, it will let you know. If you forget on a Saturday morning that we're here live in the studio, this will say, hey, by the way, Dave's live doing a radio program with comedy and music and culture and stuff. So that'd be a cool thing. And don't forget, of course, that if you missed all or part of this show, or any show just about that we have ever done, going all the way back to 2002, all you have to do is go to our website, davesgoneby.com, davesgoneby.com, and the archives are there for free. They are MP3 files, which means you can download them and listen to them on an iPod. And they're technically podcasts, or you can stream them right on your computer without downloading them in case you're worried about viri or things like that. It's all at davesgoneby.com. That is the main website. We got our photos there, the history of the show. Check it out. Drop me an email, davesgoneby@aol.com is the way to do that. You can also check my Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2. That's Radio Dave, the number 2. Well, what else do I have to tell you before we head on out of here? A reminder that just a couple of weeks from today, Saturday, June 9th, is our 14th annual Total Theater Tony Award special, featuring special guests like theater critics picking and prognosticating of what shows they think and hope will win during the Tony Awards. We also hope to have maybe a Tony nominee and some other experts and theater people. Plus, we'll have trivia. Plus, we'll have show tunes, which we may not play so much of on Facebook, but on the radio we will, and other really, really cool stuff. Plus, we'll have Rabbi Saul Solomon offering a rabbinical reflection about the Tonys, as he always does. That is happening on June 9th, Saturday, the usual time for this broadcast, 9 until probably go about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Mountain Time, on that date. But in between then, we've still got more Dave's Gone By regular shows to do. So hopefully, God willing, as they say, on May 19th, next Saturday morning, we'll be here at UNC in Greeley, Colorado, in the neighborhood, with a brand new episode of Dave's Gone By, featuring our friends, Potatoes, and you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let's play, and this is absolutely perfect. This is the song that ended the show for the first, 7 or 8 years of this broadcast. In recent years, we usually play a song that's connected to something that's been in the show or the guest, and a different song every week. But what's really cool is that the song that we played forever was a song by Van Morrison called Sweet Thing. Now, we would play the Waterboys version of it, but today we're going to go back to the Astral Weeks Van Morrison version of one of the greatest songs he ever did, Sweet Thing. Listen for Richard Davis's bass, because it's fantastic. And I'll see you in a week with a new episode of Dave's Gone By and Gone By.
And I was strung a merry way, jumped ahead dispersed.
So basically, this entire episode was an advertisement to go out and listen to Astral Weeks by Van Morrison. But anyway, thank you again so much, everybody, for listening to this radio program of The Stream. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. Been a fabulous time here with you on this Saturday. Remember to hit the archives for our archives at davesgoneby.com. All things being equal and the creeks don't rise, I'll see you right here a week from today, Saturday morning, at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Eastern, with a brand new Dave's Gone By radio program. Tell your friends, tell everyone, and thank you, Facebook folks. You really, just having you guys over the past couple of months has brought this show to a whole new and different and wonderful level. I hope you agree. I'd love to hear from you. And have a fabulous week. And Gone By. A little more pain.
I shall drive my chariot down your streets and cry. Oh, it's me I'm dynamite and I don't know why. And you shall take me strongly in your arms again. And I wonder, might remember that I ever felt the pain.